Namaskar, Nilesh in another session of Shraddha and Pradnya. This would be part 48, and we are going to look at something very sensational, something very amazing, something again no other Mahabharata researcher have ever discussed, okay, with this much detail. And so for many of you, this would be your first chance, first opportunity to look at this sun and moon evidence. Many people actually will talk about the sun and moon and eclipse evidence, but in a very meager fashion. Most of them are simply not aware how much evidence exists. But it's not just to express the sheer volume. This evidence has tremendous implications. Again, is there something new that I have not discussed in my book or books on the Mahabharata, like when did the Mahabharata war happen or Bhishma Nirvan? In terms of the conclusion, like the year 5561 BC, or the first day, 16th October, or the last day, 2nd November, the corresponding lunar month, like the month of Margashirsha for majority of the 18 days of the war, in fact, 17 days of the war, is month of Margashirsha, the entire Shukla Paksha of Margashirsha. The first day is a Kartika Amavasya or a Bahula Amavasya, whichever way you know it. This is the last day of a Kartika month for Amanta reckoning, which is about 15 days after the full moon of Kartika, Kartik Purnima, whichever way you say it. But in terms of, like when I was writing the first book, there was a lot of evidence which was repetitive in nature. And as I said, at some point, the additive value of similar evidence goes down. It's also a challenge, actually, a challenge for original researchers to keep a specific book limited to, say, 300 pages. I mean, that's the reference I used. Now, I would love to make the book even smaller or shorter, but then it's not complete, okay, in terms of its scope. So still I limited to 300, and so therefore it was a challenge. So some references which are additive in nature were not added. And now that I am going to show these to you, you can use this as a reference for the sun, moon, and eclipse references, and then go back to either of my two books, the When Did the Mahabharata War Happen or Bhishma Nirvan, and can do a comparison. There's a lot of evidence. You may get exhausted listening to it. I am going to get tired just mentioning about it. But guys, this is about our civilization, okay, about removing lots of error, lots of dogma, okay, and lots of careless, casual claims that have entered this discussion over the last 150 years, okay, 200 years, just to be on the safe side. Even 400 years, if you prefer that. I mean, that doesn't matter. If you want to go further, last 2000 years. See, our civilization, as a number of you who are finding out, it's so deep in terms of its antiquity. When we talk of 2000 years, it still ought to feel like yesterday, okay? 2000 years is not a long period for Hindu civilization, for Indian civilization. A lot of evidence, just barely through the 18 days of the war, and some evidence in the context of Mahabharata war, not assigned to any specific day. So let's jump into it. Again, I want to keep this as short as possible. We are going to do multiple episodes on this evidence, if required, of course. But walking you through this comprehensive evidence, I want to give you a feel for it. So keep that in mind. In fact, I'll make a summary here. I'm giving you the summary upfront So you have this in mind as we go into the sun, moon, and eclipse evidence for each day of the Mahabharata war. And you'll just see the amazing variety that exists, the type of evidence, and how decisive it is. Let's begin. This is the theory that astronomy descriptions are astronomy observations. Astronomy descriptions in the Mahabharata text are astronomy observations of the Mahabharata times. Astronomy descriptions in the context of the Mahabharata war given in the Mahabharata text are astronomy observations at the time of Mahabharata war. This is the theory. Many Mahabharata researchers do not even understand what is a theory. They will look at the conclusion and they will call it a theory. They will call a Bhishma Nirvana theory. They will call it Arundhati Vasishta theory. There is no Bhishma Nirvana theory. There is no Arundhati Vasishta theory. There is no planetary observations or planetary descriptions Mahabharata theory. No. For all of these, there is no theory of Adhikamasa. There is no theory of the naming of a lunar months. There is no theory of the lunar tithis as described in the Mahabharata. All of this. There is no theory of seasons. There is no theory like one troll, he calls it, and I like it. I want people to acknowledge if they are so dumb that they don't understand the basic phenomenon of the precession of the Earth's axis and the corresponding outcome, which is what? That the pole star changes, that the points of the equinoxes and solstices change with respect to the background nakshatra. That's what we mean by change. That the pole star change, I mentioned it, the point of equinoxes with respect to nakshatra change, the orientations of the stars relative to each other as seen from the earth when they move around, okay, along the ecliptic or along the north pole, those orientations may and can change, and they have changed, and they have been recorded in the Mahabharata text, such as the glorious Arundhati Vasishta observation. And the fourth one is that the lunar months, such as Chaitra, Vaishak, Jeshta, Ashad, Shravan, Bhadrapad, Ashwin, Kartik, Margashirsha, Paush, Magh, Falgun, their connection with a specific season, because remember, season is determined by the position of the sun, okay? And then combine that with the precession of the Earth's axis, which means what? The position at the points of equinoxes and solstices of the sun with respect to nakshatra is changing. And how do we decide the lunar month? By noting down the position of the full moon, which is exactly at the opposite to the sun's position. So if sun's position with respect to equinoxes or solstices is changing, guess what? The positions of the lunar months with respect to specific season is also going to change. There are these people who, if you look at their papers, look like, oh, they had a decent education, but unfortunately, a learned fools, okay? What Ramdas Swami calls Padatamurka. They think this is a theory of someone like me or Dr. Vartak. And, actually, I like that. I'm saying, well, guys, nobody else, they don't have a guts. The Indic researchers have no guts, no game, no skin in the game, willing to talk about this. And of course, they will give their own pious excuse like, hey, guys, you are fighting, therefore I'm not involving. The bottom line is they have no skin in the game, okay? They have no guts to come and speak their mind. So, for example, if those people or others, if they come and say, well, all right, yeah, I don't agree that this is actually a fact. It's a fact, guys. But some troll is calling this a oak Vartak hypothesis. Well, guess what? I would like to take a credit for that. Okay, why not call this oak Vartak hypothesis? And hey, it's an amazing one. And now that's true. So if somebody wants to falsify oak Vartak Siddhanta of lunar months changing with the season due to the precession of the Earth's axis, be my guest. Okay, that's why I'm just giving you some ideas. Okay, so the theory, people talk of Bhishma Nirvana theory and planetary theory and cometary theory. No, astronomy theory and AV theory. No, there are no theories like that. This is the theory, astronomy descriptions of Mahabharata text. And if they are in the context of Mahabharata war, they are astronomy observations of Mahabharata times. Specifically, we are going to look at the sun, moon, and eclipse evidence. We are going to look at phases and positions of the moon and its effect on what happens during the day, what happens once the sun sets, what kind of scenario is presented depending on the phase and position of the moon, plus, of course, the sun through the 18 days of the war, and how they beautifully corroborate 16 October through 2nd November 5561 BCE timeline. This evidence decisively shows that Margashirsha as the month of the war, okay, and Margashirsha Shukla Paksha as the predominant time of the war. So the first day, 16 October, is a Kartika Bahula Amavasya, 15 days after the full moon of Kartik. And now, so the first day is that, then the next 15 days of the Margashirsha Shukla Paksha are the additional 15 days of the war. We have got 16 days, and then 2 days which are part of Margashirsha Vadya Paksha or Krishna Paksha. That's what this evidence is going to prove again and again, time and again, okay? And one more thing, I have said this many times again, but because we are going to look at sun, moon, and eclipse evidence, the nodes of the moon are referred to as Rahu alone and not as Ketu in Mahabharata. Many people have very carelessly fought with me on this. When I ask for evidence, they run away with tail between their legs, okay? Even when they don't have a tail, the tail emerges. Now, this is a metaphor, but they are so dull in their brain, they cannot even understand the metaphor. Well, that's actually a problem. When Vasudev is giving these astronomy descriptions in the form of either nimitta or in the form of poetic embellishments or in the form of upaman, they just everywhere they are scared. Oh, they say this is a nimitta, but then they use nimitta. They say this is a upaman, but they use upaman. They say this is an embellishment, but they use it. Okay, when in a very rare instances, they can use it and somehow match it for whatever dogmatic claim they have made. I call this dogmatic because it's decided a priori. If you ask them, how did you arrive at that number? Which is to say, what specific evidence from the Mahabharata text did you make use of to arrive at that particular year or to arrive at that particular time interval? No other Mahabharata researcher, exceptions none, has an answer. Okay, alive or dead, they don't have an answer. This is how this current scenario is. This is a quick Purva Paksha. Now let's get into the 18 days of the war. Before we get into the 18 days of the war, there are some references in the context of Mahabharata war which are not explicitly stated as to which specific day they refer to. So I'm going to summarize them here, and then we'll go day by day. Okay. It's voluminous data, guys. So, okay, put on your seat belts, have a popcorn and chocolate if you like, and get ready. So these are the sun, moon evidence, the references, descriptions from the Mahabharata text in the context of Mahabharata war that are not connected with specific 18 days of the Mahabharata war. In a way, they would be connected, but my point is they were not stated, okay, as referring to a specific day, and you'll see why that is so. We start with the Udyog Parva. Okay, this is a preparation for the war Parva before the war began. So therefore, it is not connected with the specific 18 days. And what does the line say? Somasya Lakshma Vyavrutam. The sign on the moon appears to be not clear, it's covered or something like this. What does that usually mean? People have interpreted that to mean many things, such as there is an eclipse or the day close to Amavasya, where a significant portion of the moon's surface is closed, and therefore that sign, that the rabbit sign or whatever you look at, whatever you call it, is not visible. Those are the two broadly speaking, those are the two prominent interpretations. There could be many others that I'm not aware of. And the second portion, Rahur Arkamu Peshati, okay, and the Rahu, which is the node of the moon, approaching the sun. you're going to see this consistent theme. Rahu is what is used for the node, and Mahabharata does not make a distinction between Rahu and Ketu. It does not make a distinction as to the role of a Rahu in making a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. It is always Rahu. You will find the word Ketu, but that is referring to the flag on the chariots of the warriors and many other cases, okay? But you are not going to see the word Ketu in the context of the eclipse. Now, many people, as I said, fight with me on this. And you know why they fight? Because if you look at many of these translations, multiple translations, guys, I have gone through 20 plus translations by now. For a while, I had gone through, I used to make use of about 6 translations. But any new translation, somebody sends it to me, and now I keep on finding. I mean, some people make me aware. And yeah, so I have looked at them. The point is, it is in the translation, the translator from Sanskrit to English will make use of a Ketu and all this based on the commentaries such as Nilakantha Chaturdhar and many others. But these are the commentaries that they translate as a Ketu. In the original text, you are not going to find the word Ketu referring to the eclipse or the node, okay? And you will see that here. So Rahu, you'll see the context of a Rahu as a node. It doesn't matter which type of eclipse, what type of eclipse, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, or even just the mathematical point in the sky. It is always Rahu. Okay, all right. And you'll see some different words, Swarabhanu and all those, but not Ketu. So that's what it is saying, that Rahu is approaching the sun, and whenever that reference was made, this comes near Krishna Karna dialogue, and there the discussion is that a significant portion on the surface of the sign on the surface of the moon is hidden. Now, if it's related to the eclipse as an interpretation, that means a eclipse is arriving or the eclipse just occurred, something like this. Or if you look at that as the rabbit sign, then simply it means the day is closer to Amavasya. Okay, like 30 days. Amavasya is going to repeat every 30 days. And this day seems to be closer to Amavasya day. That's how we can look at this. Okay, so that's the astronomy one. Now the below there, I will not go, Divashloka, Patanteta, Sanirghata, Sakampana, like, there is a asteroid shower. Okay, now how are we going to or objectively test that? I don't know. I would love to see how people do it. Besides, sometime I'll talk about the degree of testability, degree of corroboration, degree of falsifiability. That evidence second line is extremely trivial. That's another reason. First, well, the reason it is trivial is because it's very hard to test it. Anyone practically can anytime claim that, oh yeah, there was a asteroid shower. It's very difficult to prove it. I'll talk about that when I discuss it. If you go at a place which doesn't have much light pollution and at a high altitude, like I've been to Himalayas, places, literally feels like the stars have come down to touch you, that high 13,000, 14,000 feet and even higher. And clean skies, no light pollution. And yeah, there is a asteroid shower going on every night if the sky is clear. That's what I mean by that. And 7,500 years ago, the skies did not have much of a light pollution. Cities did not have much of a light pollution. And so you could see more. Therefore, the degree of testability, degree of corroboration, degree of whatever, one more thing I said and I forgot now, is very low. So that's why I'm not taking second line, okay? It's by a distant astronomy observation that anyone can fight on whichever side they want to do it, okay? Therefore, if they want to prove that at a certain date, oh, it's not there, they will do all kinds of chaos. If they want to prove that it existed, they can do it. The degree of corroboration, degree of testability, degree of falsifiability, those are the three, is very, very low, okay? All right. For example, let's go to the next one. This is a description of a Kartik Purnima. And what that all tells us is that Kartik Purnima definitely had occurred before the Mahabharata war began. And I don't know anyone who disagrees on that. And if they disagree, then they have got much bigger problems to solve, okay? They don't even are part of the game here, guys. Okay, if somebody thinks Kartik Purnima did not happen before the Mahabharata war. Now what is it saying? Alaksha prabhaya hina purnamasi cha kartikem chandrodrud agni varnascha samavarne navastale. That it looked like Agni Varna, the moon's surface looked like a fiery or whatever it is. And now some people would interpret that to mean there was an eclipse, or other times, if you have seen a coppery moon or a fiery moon, even when there is no eclipse, then you understand that's what the case was. All we can really extract from this, you can extract more, such as eclipse if you want. But definitely what you can extract out of it is that Kartik full moon had already occurred before the war began. Okay. Next, Rohini Pidayanesho Stito Rajeshaneshchara. That's not important. That's planetary evidence. We have looked at six references of Saturn. So I'm not going to go there. The second line, Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasya. Look at the top. Somasya Lakshma Vyavruttam, Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasya. The one at the Udyog Parva at the top is 7 days before Shakra Amavasya. Karna is telling it to Krishna about a month and 7 days before this second reference that you are saying at 2.32, Bhishma 2.32. Again, we are very close, a day before the Mahabharata war, first day of Mahabharata war, therefore day before Amavasya, and not a surprise if you take this at Vyavrutta Lakshma Somasyam, okay? Or in some case related to eclipse. I'm saying simply it is related to a day closer to Amavasya, okay? So that's another one. Okay, let's look at this. Now we are looking at the reference to an eclipse. Again, similar to what you saw in Udyog Parva, but just day before the Mahabharata war. Not a surprise, it's a day close to Amavasya, and this particular time interval within that year, I'm saying, within that year of 5561 BCE, or the Mahabharata year, which now I have shown to be 5561 BC. But even if you keep aside 5561 BC, what Mahabharata text is saying is that at the time of Mahabharata war, I don't mean any year, the very specific month, and so it was the time interval of a eclipse season. That's what it has been decided, expressed through Rahur Arkamupeshati. Here you say, you see, Abhikshnam Kampate Bhumir Arka Rahu Stathagrasat. Okay, so whatever the land is happening, but Arka Rahu Stathagrasat. Okay, the sun and the Rahu, which is the node of the moon, they are grasping each other, like capturing each other. They are coming close, they are close, and so on and so forth. We don't have to read the second line that refers to Saturn evidence. Okay, Shreshto Svetogras Tatha Chitram Samati Kramya Tishtati. We don't need to discuss that. We have done it. Next, there is this description, and again, people create utter chaos. All that it is saying, what is it saying? At the time of Mahabharata war, somewhere there. We don't know before, after, during, doesn't know. So somebody showing before, okay, somebody showing during the Mahabharata war, somebody showing a little bit after, just plus minus 1 month or so. Hey, fine, 1 month, 2 months, it's fine. It cannot be too far off. And we will see why it cannot be too far off. What Vasudev is saying there is, again, this is part of a nimitta that he's saying, by the way. Chaturdashi, Panchadashi, Bhuta Purvacha Shodashim, Imam tu Nabijanami, Amavasyam Trayodashim. Okay, I'm not going to translation. So related to basically the tithi, and which tithi occurred and which tithi did not occur, and so on, and how fast Amavasya occurred, like there was a significant kshaya in a tithi and so on. Then it goes on, Chandra Surya Ubho Grastav Ekamase Trayodashim. And so with a delta of 13 days, the moon and the solar and lunar eclipse occurred. Okay. Aparvani Grahaveto Praja Sankshapa Yeshyata. Many folks, many Indian astronomy researchers of recent times, they have done impressive work, and kudos to them. But I will tell you, consistently they take this Aparvani and translate it as wrong. But because I have a lot of distance to cover, I'm not going to go into that right now. When we talk of just an episode on the eclipses, possibly, we will look at this. Okay, so yeah, we have solar eclipse happening, a lunar eclipse happening, separated by 13 days in between, and people have fought on this again too. But you know what? People will fight and claim something. You ask them for evidence, they run away with the tail between their legs. The tail suddenly emerges. They are that scared. Ask for an objectively testable evidence. Ask for Indriya Pramanya evidence, they run away. Just run away. That's what I'm going to show you consistently. And I post this in social media asking people, yeah, guys, show me. And then they don't want to show it. They will just go on a tangent, change the goalpost, call me names, and that all wonderful standard, what you call it, toolkit that begins. Okay. All right. And that's it. But the Aparvani has been translated in a wrong fashion by multiple folks, multiple times, multiple translations. Sometime I'll talk about what that Aparvani is referring to, okay? Not what the way they translate. Not that it changes any meaning. Well, it does change a meaning. Therefore, I mean, yeah, I'll talk about what a humor that is, when they translate Aparvani the way they do, okay? And what does that mean? Like, it's like either they are idiots or like they're calling Vasudev idiot, as if like Vasudev doesn't know what he's writing. Okay, that's what it comes down to. The next one is again only the point that there is a mention of the sun and moon. In fact, if you notice in all of these references, besides the fact that they don't belong to any specific day, 18 days of the Mahabharata war, they don't come specifically discussed, okay, specifically assigned to a specific day of the Mahabharata war. Each of them also have the description of both sun and a moon. Sometime indirectly, like, so the Kartik Purnima is what? Yeah, you know the position of a full moon, but you also know the position of the sun, exactly opposite, 180 degree. In that sense, they both are there. Anytime we discuss the eclipse, like Rahu's position, or Chandra Surya Ubhau Grasta, both solar eclipses, or Somasya Akshavyavruttam and Rahu Arkamo Peshyati, we are discussing moon, we are discussing sun. Purnima, we are discussing positions of the both. Anytime we are talking a node, we are discussing positions of both, because it's not exactly the moon position, but the position of the node. And therefore, we know a lot about it. Okay. And we are saying sun is near that node and so on. Similarly, this last reference on this page, Magha Vishaga Somas Tadyanam Pratyapadyata Deepyamanasya Sampetur Divi Sapta Mahagraha. Some interesting story. Again, it digresses, so I will not tell you that. There was this one fellow, I actually know his name, I will not mention it. Everyone again just gets scared, but they will do all kinds of foolishness in social media. But when they get caught, they even change their handle. Okay, hopefully some of you might have saved some of these their tweets. Okay, this person challenged me to show the position of the moon matching this description. Magha Vishaga Somas Tadyanam Pratyapadyata Deepamanashu Sampetu Devi Saptamahagra. When I showed it to him, he ran away. This is now going back a couple of years. Okay. And I do know his real name also, although that's not the handle he uses. Sometime I'll just mention it, nothing against him, but I have to point out the idiocy. Okay. And these are some respectable people, at least in the people size. Okay. But how coward they are. When they ask something, you show it to them, they run away, change the goalpost, okay, go on a tangent, start calling me name, and all these kind of things. Okay. And these are supposedly pro-Indic researchers, guys. Okay. So-called dharmic folks. Go figure. All right, let's get into the sun and moon, 18 days of the war. First day, Amavasya, 16 October, 5561 BC, Kartik Amavasya, Kartika Bahula Amavasya, the Amavasya that occurs 15 days after the Kartik Purnima. That's the day we are talking here. Okay, this is the description on the first day of the war. Now, does it say that, oh, this is the description on the first day of the war? No, it simply gives a description. Rohini Pidayattevo Ubhau cha Shashi Bhaskaro. It is me who is asserting that this is the description on the first day of the Mahabharata war. There is no tag assigned to it as to which day this belongs to. I assert it's on the first day of the Mahabharata war. I explain it in an extremely consistent fashion. Rohini Pidayattevo Ubhau cha Shashi Bhaskaro. Exactly the same way Saturn is also giving Pida to Rohini. Exactly the same way Jupiter is giving Pida to Rohini on the 17th day. Science, consistency, objective testing, logic. Okay, that's what this is. So I'm asserting it and I'm showing why that is so. Okay, now, which means somebody wants to claim that it is for some other day. Hey, be my guest, that's fine. The next one, The next one is for the first day of the war. So when the war began and the sunrise occurred, it's saying Dvidha Bhuta Ivaditya. The sun rose as if split in two parts. Udaye Pratyadrishyata. And people have interpreted that in many ways, like there was the solar eclipse right at the sunrise and so on and so forth. The challenge with determining the specific eclipse, not specific eclipse, but the type of eclipse, whether the eclipse occurred or not, especially when you go back beyond 2000 years, is a challenge. There are many papers written on it. I have papers. In fact, some years ago, when some other Mahabharata researchers or academic professors, astronomy professors challenged late Professor Narahari HR about the eclipses in 3067 not seen from India, okay, based on mathematical calculations and simulations. In defense, Professor Narahari HR demonstrated or referred to some papers, like how difficult it is to actually find out the conjunctions, the exact angle, where it would be seen, and so on and so forth. Okay, the Metonic cycle is a new name for something that is borrowed from Indian astronomy called Lagada cycle. Okay, the 18 or 19-year cycle. So the point is, he pointed something, and in his defense, of course, because the 3067, you will find when you do the calculation that the eclipse don't show up right when, they were not visible per se. I'm not done that research, guys. I'm just saying, likes of Professor R.N. Iyengar, okay, he has objected to Professor Narahari HR, and you can see this discussion back and forth into your favorite, some of those folks who are dogmatically stuck in the peer-reviewed journals. I don't give a hoot. I don't give a damn. Okay, but it is there into those peer-reviewed journals. For example, Indian Journal of Historical Science and so on. I know on a first name basis some of the editors, some of the people on the editorial board of that journal. And they said, hey, if you want to publish something, let me know. And I said, no, I don't want to publish. Now, eventually, for a fun, I may publish one day, or not just that journal, but a few other journals, just for a heck of it. But maybe I'll publish one paper and just forget about it, Anyways, so the point here is that the description exists, but if you try to match this, which is to say, try to therefore show on the first day there was a solar eclipse right at the sunrise, that may be possible, may not be possible to show, because our ability to predict the eclipse once we go beyond 2000 years, and even there are issues in the last 2000 years, it goes down. Okay, so that's the reason. And just because the description says sun rose with as if split in two, we don't necessarily know that it is a solar eclipse either. Okay, so if somebody wants to use this evidence, I'll go back for a second so you're not confused which evidence, this second one, as a corroborative evidence for showing a solar eclipse on the first day of the war, fine. But this evidence by itself does not demand that there has to be a solar eclipse. This is a subtle difference, but a very important difference. Listen to this. If you haven't understood, go back into the video, listen to this 10 times until you understand what it means. Okay. If there is eclipse, you can use this as a corroborative evidence, but this evidence by itself does not mean that there was eclipse. There is a huge difference between these two sentences. Okay, the next reference. Similar to, for example, possibly like, hey, is like a lot of asteroid showers possibly happening? And was that again a eclipse? For example, Nishprabho Abhyudayat Suryo, the like sun came up, okay, lost of its splendor. Now, that could be eclipse, or it could be because there is a lot of dust and a lot of bad weather kind of thing, that can also happen, right? Depending on this. So again, similar to that previous reference, if there is eclipse, you can use this as a corroborative evidence. But this evidence, Nishprabho Abhyudaya, Like sun came up, lost of its splendor by itself doesn't immediately mean, oh yeah, there was eclipse. No, utter nonsense if you say that. But if you want to show the eclipse and use this as a corroborative evidence, absolutely makes sense. This is, guys, understanding Vijnana Buddhi. Okay, and Tarka Shastra too, by the way. What drives what conclusion? Okay, and when it can be used as a corroborative evidence, but when it cannot be used as a insisting that, hey, that's what it means. There is a difference. Let's go to the next one. Okay, again, what it is saying, in fact, it's giving a reason. It says, Ubhayo Sena Yostivra Sainyanam Samagama Antardhiyata Chaditya Cha Aditya Sainena Rajasavruta. Like as they started fighting, Ubhayo Sena Yostiva Sainyanam Samagama, they started fighting there. Aditya Antardhiyata, okay, it disappeared. But then it says Sainena Rajasavruta. Okay, at least the description is such that it disappeared because of the dust that was raised by the fighting army. Please keep this description in mind. This is on the first day of the war. As we go through the 18 days of the war, you're going to see this multiple times. But my point is, now, if somebody again wants to use this description to say, actually, you know what, the descriptor, the person who was writing might have thought that sun disappeared because of the dust. And hey, dust might be there, but actually it might have disappeared because of an eclipse. If they want to use this as a corroborative evidence, yes, fine. But if they want to use this evidence to therefore insist that there was an eclipse, and why do you think that? Oh, because of this evidence, they are absolutely wrong. They are wrong here. They are also wrong here. Nishprabho Abhyudaya Surya, they are also wrong here. Dvividha Bhuta Ivaditya Udaye Pratyadrishyata. Guys, I'm trying to tell you the subtle but very critical, very important difference. And that would be the theme here. Okay, next one. Okay, let's highlight Tataha. This is at the end of the day, first day. Pay attention, guys. Very important. Because essentially there are two camps. Okay, one camp, and the date changes a little bit here and there, but still broadly two camps. One camp which says that the Mahabharata war began on the day of Amavasya. Okay, you can say I belong to that camp. Interestingly, the folks who belong to my camp, they don't agree on the date, 5561 BC, that is well known. Otherwise, many people would be claiming 5561 BC. Everyone would love to claim it, but you know what? It's been already claimed, so they say, well, no, let me find something else. We'll go away from that. What is important, this is the description at the end of the first day, just at the sunset. Prapte cha asta dinakare. The sunset, and what happened? Tata saineshu bhagneshu mathiteshu cha sarvasha prapte chasta dinakare na pradnya yata kinchana. When the sun set, the darkness was such that people couldn't see anything. What is important is that this is a description that matches Amavasya. That does not match the full moon day, and that does not match any day that is near full moon. Plus minus 5 days, plus minus 6 days. Plus minus 5, we'll stick with plus minus 5 days from Purnima, and I'll tell you the significance of that as we go through 18 days evidence. So, the arrival, the determination that the first day of the Mahabharata war was Amavasya is not based on this verse. That is another subtle, very important thing one should know. So, how it is not a circular reasoning? That is determined by something else. I'll tell you the phases and positions of the moon, but something else. Actually, if you take Bhishma Nirvana evidence and additional bounds such as the whole thing, right from the beginning of the war to the Bhishma Nirvana, must occur between Kartik full moon and Chaitra full moon. These are the descriptions in the Mahabharata. And Bhishma has to be on the bed of arrows for more than 95 days. And then if you use additional constraints, Krishna, Chaturdashi, and phases and positions of the moon through the 18 days of the war, you know that it's a month of Margashirsha. You have that Chaitra Purnima waiting there after Bhishma Nirvana. What does that tell you is, actually, I've shown that in a Bhishma Nirvana book, which I didn't know, by the way, in 2011, although I was confident about the Amavasya, what I did not know is that the Mahabharata evidence was so precise and accurate that there cannot be any other day but Kartika Amavasya as the first day of the Mahabharata war. So that is determined independently. And to support that, to corroborate that, we have this evidence at the first day of the Mahabharata war, at the end of the day, at the time of sunset. As soon as there was a sunset, it was so dark that nothing could be seen. And that is a description of Amavasya. Could it be the day of a Pratipada? I mean, Shukla Pratipada? Yes. Could that be the description of Krishna Chaturdashi? Absolutely. Could that be the description of Krishna Trayodashi? Yes, because moon is going to rise up late. But what it is not is definitely of a day at the full moon day plus minus 5 days. That is to say, like from Shukla Dashmi to say Krishna or Vadya Panchami. It's definitely not. So anyone claiming a first day of the Mahabharata war, more than 5 days, 6 days, more than 10 days away from the Amavasya is basically falsified. Just this one reference, guys. Just this one reference. Okay. And that seems to be the translation. I pulled this from one of the translation. I will not mention where it is, but just I will read that. You can read it. I want you to actually don't be lazy and go and read multiple translations. That's why I sometimes show the translation and don't mention where it is. Hindi translation is प्रकार सारी सेना मथित हो उठी, व्यूह भंग हो गया और सूर्य अस्ताचल को चले गए. उस समय अंधेरे में कुछ भी सूझ नहीं पड़ता था. You know, nobody could think, nobody could see, and so on. Let's go to day 2. Okay, now, so that was a Kartik Bahula Amavasya. This is a Margashirsha Shukla Pratipada. Okay, 17th October. Not many description. Notice there is no description of the moon or sun here. In fact, here there is a description of a sun. Sun is going to rise every day, but no description of the moon. Please notice this. First day of the Mahabharata war, no description of the moon. Okay, any moon. Second day, no description of the moon. And what it is saying is, Tato Vahara Sainyanam Tavatesham cha Bharata Astam Gachanti Suryebhyut Sandhya Kale cha Vartati. Sunset, Astam Gachanti Surye Bhut Sandhya Kale cha Vartati. So when sunset, evening began and fighting stopped. As soon as the sunset, first day also fighting stopped, second day also fighting stopped. First day it mentions, like as soon as sunset occurred, nothing could be seen. It was a total darkness. That is Amavasya. This is a day after Amavasya, Pratipada. Let's go to the day 3. On the day 3, there is a discussion of, at one point, I forgot whether it is Abhimanyu who lost his chariot or Satyaki who lost his chariot. And so whoever that other person who got, I think Abhimanyu lost his chariot. So he jumps on Satyaki's chariot and now they both together are fighting. And this one, now this is a Upaman, but how beautiful this Upaman is. Like there are folks who doesn't understand how to use a Upaman. I mean, because they don't have a theory. Or if they have a theory, it's like a conclusion, right? You know, guys, if I start talking about them, you know, it's just another tangent there. So let me get back to this. So what is the description? They both are fighting from the same chariot and their description is given like this. This is a real description. Of course, as a Upaman. Shushubhate tada tautu shaineya kurupungavo. Okay. Kurupungava is that, help me, is the Abhimanyu, and Shaineya is basically a name of a Satyaki. Amavasyam gato yadvat soma suryo namastale. And he's saying gato, like a past, the past Amavasya. Okay, just recent past. I mean, recent is the word I'm adding, but past Amavasya. Guess what? Amavasya comes every 30 days. They are referring to that Amavasya which just occurred 2 days ago, the first day of the Mahabharata war. The description. This is the both Abhimanyu and Satyaki fighting from the single chariot. Okay, look beautiful. And how, like the sun and the moon in the sky, remember on Amavasya, sun and moon are together as seen from the earth, of the past Amavasya, the Amavasya that was there just 2 days ago. And I'm saying this is also again supporting, corroborating that evidence. Did I decide that Amavasya was the first day of the Mahabharata war based on this? Absolutely not. I explained it already. This is a corroborative evidence. It's very important you understand. You built this with Jnana Buddhi. Okay, all right, that's that. Now let's go to the next one. What does it say? Vikirna Shushube Tadrana Sthanam Sharadiva Nabhastalam. Okay. Yeah, so this is a time of a Sharada Rutu, okay, the sky of the Sharada season. Fine, I mean, again, no, like here the Soma Surya both are mentioned, but remember Soma Surya of Amavasya are mentioned. Okay, that's also important. So yes, some jackass will say, well, look, there is a moon mentioned. Yes, but in the context of Amavasya, they both of them are together. Yadvat Soma Suryo Navastale, they are together. They are not seen unless it's eclipse. Maybe there was eclipse and they were seen. I don't know that. But my point is they were together. Okay, let's go to the next one. And on the third day of the Mahabharata war, it again says, let's see if I can see that. Yeah. So the first line here, Tato Ravim Sastra Rashmijalam Drashtva Vrasham, blah, 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 blah. You can read through that. So now the Ravi, the sun, was going on the horizon, sort of like absorbing all this Rashmi and ready to set. And when that happened, it says the war stopped. Everyone returned to their camps. Samapta Karma Shibiram Nishayam. Just when the night began, everyone returned to their camps. Okay, day 3. They are not fighting through the night. They are just at the sunset. Practically, they stop because the day is very close to Amavasya. This is Margashirsha Shukla Dvitiya. Okay, in reference to recent Amavasya we saw. Let's go to day 4. Day 4, Margashirsha Shukla Tritiya, like at the end of the sunset, there will be a crescent moon for a while and it's going to disappear. Not much light produced, not much moonlight produced by the crescent moon of Shukla Tritiya. Okay, what happens? I'm looking for any additional reference from this. Yeah, so Prayata Shivira Yaiva Nisha Kale Parantapa. As soon as the night began, which is sunset happened, everybody returned to the camp, day 4. Okay, let's go day 5, Margashirsha Shukla 4, which is Chaturthi. Again, if you have seen the moon of Shukla Chaturthi, you know it's not very bright. Okay, I mean, it's not bright at all. I mean, you notice it very nicely, beautiful crescent moon, but that's it. It, in terms of illuminating the place at night, it's not much. What happens on the day 5? Okay, Sandhya Kale Maharaja Sainyanam Shranta Vahana. Okay, here. Etasminneva kale tu surye astamupagacchati. Okay, finally the time came, sunset. Sarveshameva sainyanam pramoha samajayata avaharam tataschakre pita devavratastava. So Devavrat is a Bhishmacharya. He said, okay, it's everything has happened. Let's return. Let's stop the war. Sandhya kale Maharaja sainyanam shantavahana. And the evening came and the war stopped. And they went back to their camps and so on and so forth. Okay, day 5, Margashirsha Shukla 4. Notice all 5 days, first 5 days of the war is stopping at the sunset. Everyone is returning. Now we get the day 6, Margashirsha Shukla Panchami. Again, still a very small crescent moon, but now it's getting somewhat distinct. And what is happening? Notice this is the first time a change is occurring. Tato Duryodhano Raja Lohita Yati Bhaskare Sangrama Rabhaso Bhimam Hantu Kamobhya Dhavata. I'll just take this verse and read Hindi translation. So I'm not, people say, oh yeah, you translated. Well, of course I love to translate, and I translate many times, especially astronomy references, better than any other person who is translating it. Many people make a disaster out of astronomy reference translation. Disaster. And if I ever get time, I will show you a demonstration of that. But let's look at the Hindi translation here. Sanjay कहते हैं, Maharaj, this is for the 6th day. तदनंतर जब सूर्यदेव पर संध्या की लाली छाने लगी, उस समय संग्राम के लिए उत्साह रखने वाले राजा दुर्योधन ने भीमसेन को मार डालने की इच्छा से उन पर धावा किया. This is the first time since the Mahabharata war began. On the 6th day, you get this description when the sunset is going to occur. maybe has not occurred yet, but it's ready to occur. Other days, you see that people basically stopping at that time. But here, just when the sunset is occurring, Duryodhan makes a fresh attack on Bhimasena. Okay, let's look at the next verse there in the same Adhyay. I'll not read Sanskrit just to save time also, and okay. I will read Muhurtasta Mite Surya Chakra Yuddham Sudarunam. Very important. So sunset is almost occurring. Duryodhana began a fresh attack on Bhimasen. And what does it say? Rajan meaning Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra. एक दूसरे पर प्रहार करने वाले उन महारथियों का वह युद्ध यमल लोक की वृद्धि करने वाला था, because many people are being killed. In that sense, the population of Yamalok is going to go up. Okay. सूर्यास्त के 2 घड़ी बाद तक उन सब लोगों ने बड़ा भयंकर युद्ध किया. मुहूर्तास्तत मिते सूर्य. For 1 muhurta, 2 muhurta, do ghadi means what? Ghadi, like a ghati, so do ghati makes 1 muhurta. 24 minutes together, 48 minutes. Now they are not talking exactly, guys, by taking a wristwatch here. Okay, they are talking for some time. Don't we say, hey, give me a second. Give me a second. Do we really mean just give me a second? No, give me a few minutes, right? Or say, give me 5 minutes. In reality, you may mean 30 minutes, like especially in the Indian context. I noticed that 5 minutes are never 5 minutes. Somebody says, I'll call you in 5 minutes. And then after 3 hours, the call may come. Jokingly, I'm saying that, but also reality. So here, Suryasta ke 2 ghadi baad tak, like literally they're translating, which is great. Muhurta, that is 2 ghadi, war continued, fighting continued. Which means what? This is the first time, 6th day of the Mahabharata war, the war continued beyond sunset. And how long? Not that long. So, like it's like a dusk here, you still see something because it is the Shukla Panchami. Much better than the previous 4 days, previous 5 days. So the war continued a little bit longer. Keep this in mind, guys. This is very consistent with the war beginning on Amavasya and continuing through the Shukla Paksha of Margashirsha and then ending with first 2 days of the Krishna Paksha of Margashirsha. Okay, what's happening here? Again, on the 6th day, let me just jump into the translation. नरेश्वर महाधनुर्धर भीष्म इस प्रकार पांडव सेना का संवार करके अपनी समस्त सेनाओं को युद्ध से लौटाकर अपने शिविर को चले गए. So the war did continue, extend for some time post sunset, but then quickly they stopped and Bhishma took his army back to the camp. धर्मराज युधिष्ठिर ने धृष्टद्युम्न और भीमसेन दोनों से मिलकर उनका मस्तक सूंघा और बड़े हर्ष के साथ अपने शिविर को प्रस्थापन किया. They returned to their camps. Okay, so that's, I already went through it, so I don't need to go through that. They return. Okay, now we are day 7, Margashirsha Shukla Shashti, 22nd October. What do we see here? Let me look at that. Yuddha, okay, Astam Girim Arude Na Prakashati Bhaskare. Okay, so sun, it's shining, sort of went down. Okay, it is ready to set across the mountain. Okay, Astam Giri. Okay, that is ready to set on the western mountain, western horizon, something like that. There also the word uses giri. Okay, sometime horizon, it's not always like a mountain, but usually what we find is when it's rising or setting, if there is some elevated structure, naturally that gives that a reference, and so girim is also used simply in the sense of a horizon. Please keep that in mind. Okay, this is going to come handy. Astam girim ratharude na girim ratharude na prakashati bhaskare. Okay, so it has become, light has dimmed because now it's going to set. Okay, what else we have? Okay, and when that happened, again the day 7, tata swashibiram gatva pandava kurvastata. Let me see if I find something else here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and so actually, if you can go and read the translation. So war kind of continuing, and then people say, come on, like wind up things, Bhishmam Shantanavam Turna Prayata Shibiram Prati. That, so some war is continuing. People, there is a references to as if like the ghosts are coming, the animals are coming, and they start eating Rakshasasya Pishasasya Tathanye Pishitashana, which means what? The sun has set and there is a darkness and still some activity is happening. Okay. And now one by one, everyone is returning to the camp. Arjun is returning. Arjun Nota Susharma, after like defeating Susharma, he's returning. Yudhishthir is returning. Bhimsen is returning. Bhishma is returning. Duryodhan is returning. Drona, Drauni, Krupashalya, Krutavarma, they are all returning. Those are the description. Everyone returned to their camps. Okay. So again, indirectly, here is a sense that the war did continue. We don't know exactly how long beyond sunset, but pretty soon everybody returned to their camps. Okay, this is day 7, Mrugashirsha Shukla Shashti. Notice, first 5 days right at the sunset. 6th day it extended for one muhurta. 7th day appears to be have gone for some time. We don't know exactly how, but pretty soon everybody returned to their camps. Okay, yeah, let's see the translation there. This is from, what you see here. फिर तो वे सब योद्धा वेग से युद्ध करते हुए दुष्कर पराक्रम प्रकट करने लगे। उसी समय सूर्य अस्ताचल को चले गए और उनका प्रकाश लुप्त हो गया। दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज रीडिंग, न प्रकाशति भास्करे, मीनिंग सनसेट ऑलरेडी अकर्ड। इस प्रकार संध्या होते होते क्षण भर में रक्त के प्रवाह से परिपूर्ण भयानक नदी बह चली और उसके तट पर गिदड़ों की भीड़ जमा हो गई। दोज आर दोज डिस्क्रिप्शंस ऑफ एनिमल्स, wolves and I don't know, just read through that list. Okay, insects and everyone coming, other vultures jumping on the dead bodies and so on and so forth. That kind of began. And so yes, there was some activity going on post sunset, but quickly they returned to their camps, which is to say war extended beyond sunset, not for the first 5 days. It extended on day 6 and day 7, but for a very short time. Let's go to day 8, Margashirsha Shukla Saptami. Okay, what do we have here? Let's see. Okay, Mamah Prakoshata Rajastatha Deva Vratasya Cha. Let me see if there's a reference to, oh yeah, here. And so yeah, Ghatotkach, I'll come to that. Suryasta Manavelayam Prabhagnam Vidrutam Disha. So when the time of sunset occurred, that last line there, that Mama referring to Sanjay. Okay, so Mama Prakoshata Rajas Tatha Deva Vratasya Cha. So Deva Vrat meaning Bhishma and Sanjay, they were doing something. I'll come to that. Ghatot Kacha Prayukteti Natishtanta Vimohita. Ghatat Koch is from Pandava side, is fiercely attacking the Kaurava army, and people are scared and they are running. Yuddhasvama Yuddhadvam ma palayadvam mayesha rakshasirane. And especially you see these descriptions, we don't know exactly what it means, but where the Rakshasa, or people from the Rakshasa, the what can you say, Kula, Rakshasa Kula, and Ghatotkach was one such. The relationship of Bhim and Ghatotkach and so on. I'll not go into that. Hidimba comes from a Rakshasa Kula. Those are the descriptions. We don't know how to test them objectively, and I have no idea. But consistent descriptions you get is those people with a Rakshasa Kula, they had some special powers. They got really activated. They became fierce once the sun set. It is a wonderful subject for investigation. Just don't ask me. Take that as a passion, start working on it. So the evening is coming because sunset time, Suryasta Manavelayam Prabhagnam Vidruta Disha. Therefore, Ghatotkach power is going up. He's fiercely attacking Kaurava army, and people are running away. Okay. That is that Yuddhadvam ma palayadvam, and Mama meaning Sanjay and Bhishma, they were trying to protect the army, saying, guys, don't run away, let's fight. But people were still running. Okay, this is day 8. So time of sunset, pay attention, time of sunset, and instead of stopping the war, Ghatotkach is just fiercely started his attack. And even Bhishma is not saying let's stop the war either. Bhishma is saying, guys, don't run away. Sanjay is saying the same thing, come and fight even when there is a sunset. So even first 5 days war stopped exactly at sunset, but now beginning with day 6, day 7, day 8, it appears based on the description that the war gets extended into the night, not for a very long time, and we'll see that. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay. And then once that has happened, if you notice, think of chapters 90, 92. So after some time, what are the descriptions? Yodha, oh yeah, so people are fighting apparently, or maybe coming back to the camps, but they are still there after sunset. योद्धाओं के मनोहर कुंडलों से विभूषित कमल एवं चंद्रमा के समान कांतिमान. Again, there is a mention of a moon here. Okay, where is that moon? That sometimes it's not easy to find. Okay, but okay, but there is a moon. There is a reference to moon there somewhere. People, I mean, they use different words for a moon, so not always easy to find out. Okay, in any case, evam kamal evam chandrama. Okay, so if I've spent, oh yeah, there. Okay, padme indu dyutibishchaiva. So Padma is like the lotus, Indu is the moon. That's how the name India came. So guys, don't be under this impression that India is a foreign name. Well, it was known as a Hindu. Okay, Hindu, like many other countries like French and many other folks. Even I knew folks 20 years ago in America who would call India as a Hindu or Indies or something like this. I mean, Indies everybody knows, but even Hindu. Chinese call it Hindu, and many others people know is Inde, if you go to France and so on and so forth. Anyways, so that's that Chandra. It is mentioned on the 8th day of the war. Anyways, Saman Kantiman तथा मूछों से युक्त और अत्यंत अलंकृत कटे हुए मस्तक, जिनमें सोने के सुंदर कुंडल जगमगा रहे थे, फेंके हुए से पड़े थे. Now the thing, what is important to notice is, sun has set, the fighting has continued for some time, and even after that, the faces could be seen. Even at the night time. Why? It is a Shukla Saptami. Okay, again, if you truly want to understand the significance of it, you have to become very conversant with the lunar cycle and try to observe it away from the city lights. Okay, so people, especially in the villages or those who live in city, find a reason to go outside the city in a very small village, away from the light pollution, live there if possible, stay there for a month plus, and just in a good season when you can see the clear sky, and notice how the day feels like depending on the specific tithi through the entire lunar month. And you have to do this many times, because sometimes weather disturbs the things if there are clouds and stuff like that, or yeah, but you will get the real appreciation for this. I was lucky. I grew up in a village first 15 years of my life. Okay, I have walked through the dark night. I have walked through the moonlight, and I know even in the moonlight you can't see that well. You can see enough to walk if you know your roads before, but if you don't know it, yeah, you can easily get lost. Okay, so don't have this some very romantic assumptions like full moon night is such that you don't need anything, and if it's a dark moon night, I mean Amavasya, you cannot simply travel. No, you need some lamp, you need something. But yeah, it is truly dark in villages. Anyways, so the fighting continued after sunset. Plus, people, when that was over, the description, people could see even at night the shining faces of the warriors which have fallen, and so on and so forth. Okay. The cut heads and so on, with their kundala in their ears and so on, and the comparison with on the ground, comparison with what could be seen, the sky of a Sharad. It's not mentioned a Sharad sky. I'm just mentioning it here. You will see that. We saw the reference to Sharad before. Now let's go to the next one. Okay. And the discussion continues in the night. Okay. What is seen there? Ratri samabhavat ghora napashyam tatoranam. भरतनंदन, उस समय जब अधिकांश सैनिक परिश्रम से चूर चूर हो रहे थे, कितने ही भाग गए थे, और बहु तेरे योद्धा रौंद डाल गए थे. रात हो गई थी एवं हमें अपने सेवक नहीं दिखाई दे रहे थे. तब कौरवों और पांडवों ने अपनी अपनी सेना को युद्ध भूमि से लौटने का आदेश दे दिया. व्हाट डज दैट मीन? A very clear description that the fighting continued beyond sunset. Not for the first 5 days, but day 6, day 7, day 8. Do you also notice the sense that there are no specific description how long on the day 7 and day 8? Day 6, very specific description like for a muhurta, but just based on the description, it appears like that it's getting extended further, more and more. Okay, let's read that second one. फिर उस महाभयानक न विशंत यथा कालम गत्वा स्व शिबिरम तदा. फिर उस महाभयानक तथा अत्यंत रौद्र रूप वाले प्रदोष काल में कौरव तथा पांडव एक साथ अपनी सेनाओं को लौटाकर यथा समय शिविर में जा पहुंचे और विश्राम करने लगे. If you pay attention only, you will know what it is saying. So fighting continued for a long time. Even after fighting stopped, they could see the faces of the fallen soldiers shining and so on and so forth, comparison with the sky above. Then they were fighting. There is evidence of that. Okay, and they were tired, exhausted, still fighting. Finally, the leaders of both army sides say, okay, let's go back to the camps. And Firus Mahabhayanak Tatha Atyanta Raudra. After all this, now the night has become very scary. What is that? Again, remember Margashira Shukla Saptami. As I said, Shukla Saptami, you have to go in the villages away from light pollution to see approximately. And of course, you can do the simulations to know what time the moon set occurs. Okay, this is the crescent moon of Saptami and when it occurs. And after that, it will be like a dark night. When the moon sets, it will be like a dark night. That's what that description is. Very consistent, amazing, precise, beautiful. Okay. Now there is a description on this 8th day that when they went back to the camp, after all these, look at even the sequence, chapter 90, 92, 92, the verse numbers you can see, and then chapter 93. Now, Duryodhan, with his sevak, he goes to meet Bhishmacharya. Okay, now he's going how? Pradipay Kanchanas Tatra Gandha Tailavasechane. So when he's going to meet Bhishmacharya after all this has occurred, now the Raudra Bhayanak Ratra has begun. He's going with his sevak, they're holding the torches in their hands, okay? Lamp, the oil lamp or oil torches, okay? Yeah, so he's going to meet Bhishma. That is not detailed here. You can go and check the chapters. And how did this scene look like? See, this is a real scene. The terrestrial is described and compared with the celestial. How? Satay parivrutto raja pradipay kanchane shubhay shushubhe chandrama yukto diptairiva mahagrahe. In many talks, I have shown the sky of 23rd October 5561 BCE with the planets and stars, Diptairiva Mahagrahe, okay, covered. The moon is also along with many planets in the sky, okay, on 23rd October. And that's the description. Terrestrial is equal to celestial. The genius of Vyasadeva, he's representing what's happening on the ground with a beautiful comparison with what's up in the sky. Okay, celestial is equal to terrestrial. Well, people think Galileo taught us this. Vyasadeva is showing this through his great creation, Mahabharata text, Mahabharata, more than 7,500 years ago. Let's go to day 9. Okay, maybe I need to cut this into 2 parts, but let me just proceed, okay? Even this may be a big one, but I might as well do it, okay? Day 9 of the Mahabharata war. Margashira Shukla Ashtami, 24th October. What do we have here? Okay, nothing. Maybe I forgot to underline these things. Okay, let's quickly look at this stuff. Day 9. Tato yuddham mahaghora pravartata sudarunam aparadishamasthaya dyotamane divakare. Okay, so when the sun was ready to set, day 9, actually a fierce fighting began, guys. Do you see how consistent it is? First 5 days, fighting stopping right at the sunset. 6th day for 1 hour. 7th day, 8th day, no exact timing is given, but the description tells us it extended into the night. We just don't know exactly how long. Day 9, when the sun set, aparam dishamasthaya dyotamane divakare, what is it? Tato yuddham mahaghoram pravar tata sudarunam. A fierce fighting began as sun set, or sun went towards Asta, or went towards, the Astagiri, whatever you want to say. Aparam dishamasthaya, as it proceeded in the apara disha, like downward direction there. So when it was ready to set, a fierce battle began. Okay. I forgot to underline those. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, Vimrudana tastasya tu Pandusena mastam jagama sasra rashmi tato balanam shamakarshitana manoharam pratisam bhuva. Okay, let me go fast through this. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So Yuddhatameva tesham tu bhaskare astam upagate. So when the sun set, that war is continuing. Sandhya samabhavat ghora na pashyam tatoranam. Okay, war is continuing. And if you go through the next chapter there, let me jump into the translation again, just to save time there, guys. You can stop this, and if you need, you can read it. Let me read the translation. Bharat Nandan, so again Sanjay telling Dhritarashtra, तपश्चात राजा युधिष्ठिर ने देखा कि संध्या हो गई, भीष्म के द्वारा गहरी चोट खाकर, this is the 9th day. Remember, on the 10th day, Bhishma falls in the battle. And from that day, he is on the bed of arrows, waiting for the day of winter solstice for more than 95 days. Okay. तपश्चात राजा युधिष्ठिर ने देखा कि संध्या हो गई, भीष्म के द्वारा गहरी चोट खाकर मेरी सेना ने भय से व्याकुल हो हथियार डाल दिया है. This is very important. He's saying, मेरी सेना ने भय से व्याकुल हो हथियार डाल दिया है. So somebody else is saying to someone, ततो युधिष्ठिरो राजा संध्या सदृश भारत. So it's not Sanjay telling Dhritarashtra. My apologies. It is a discussion on the Pandava side, by the way. Okay, Yudhishthir with someone. भरत नंदन. ओके, सो व्होएवर इज टेलिंग दैट किसी किसी में लड़ने का उत्साह नहीं रह गया है, सारी सेना बाणों से क्षत विक्षत हो अत्यंत पीड़ित हो गई है, कितने ही सैनिक युद्ध से विमुख हो भागने लग गए हैं. when at the time of sunset, Bhishma is doing a fierce fighting and killing many folks on the Pandava side. They are exhausted, tired, इंजर्ड, क्षत विक्षत हो अत्यंत पीड़ित हो गई है, कितने ही सैनिक युद्ध से विमुख हो भागने लग गए हैं. उधर महारथी भीष्म क्रोध में भरकर युद्धस्थल में सबको पीड़ा दे रहे हैं. सोमकवंशी महारथी पराजित होकर अपना उत्साह खो बैठे हैं और घोर रूप भयानक प्रदोष काल आ पहुंचा है. इस सब बातों पर blah blah blah. So okay, so this is one reason possibly they stopped on the 9th day. Okay, let me see if there is any additional evidence. We'll get to that if it's there. If not, that's it. But if for any reason they stopped, is because like they were being defeated, and basically this is the time for Pandava army to run away. Okay, that's why they are going away. They don't want to die. They just rather run away and accept the defeat for the day. Okay, 9th day continues. Now there are some Mahabharata researchers who have created some digression, change of goalpost, confusion. Okay, and one good reader, I would say, Girish Naikji. And I have his question after going through this whole evidence. When I come to that specific one related to eclipse type of mentions, I will come to that. But I do want to address this little bit. Notice the day 9th. That some other Mahabharata dating researcher, I don't know the context, and I'll pull that particular clip or a reference or wherever that Girish Naikji has given me. He has provided that. So I will even play it. So this Mahabharata researcher claiming that whereas I am very interested in showing all the Mahabharata phases and positions of Mahabharata descriptions, phases and positions of the moon through the 18 days of the war, for some reason, when it comes to describing eclipse references like the Graha, Rahu, Grastam, whatever the word for eclipse, okay, I am somehow not showing them. Like consciously I'm hiding them. That is utter nonsense. Baseless claim. Okay, there is no basis in it. And I will find the exact details. I don't know which specific day this fellow claims that a Mahabharata reference exists, but I somehow don't show it, or I hide it as if, you know. because now the first time the reference has come. Well, there was a reference before we began the first day of the war. And there were some subtle references for the very first day of the war, right? The sun coming with as if split in two parts, or sun losing its luster, losing its shining, and so on and so forth, or antardhiyate, and it says because of a dust, but who knows, it could be the eclipse. So there was some subtle ways of describing it, but not explicit description of a eclipse. But before that, we looked at few references, not specific to any particular day, and there were a lot of eclipse references. Okay, the moon's face is covered, and Rahu arkamopeshyati. Rahu is approaching the sun. Rahu is approaching the sun. Rahu is approaching the sun. Then mention of a solar and lunar eclipse. Guys, those references are there in my book. There's no question of hiding it. Now, if some of the references are not given, I will say told you that reference, that context before. I have to keep the book limited to 300 pages. And you know what? On a one given day, if I see like 60 references to full moon, I'm going to give 10, 15 and say, okay, guys, there are many more, but hey, look here, I made my point. On ninth day, I'm saying, forget whatever the day this other researcher says that I didn't show it. I will show what I have. And if there are many more references, I would encourage others to show it. Now, ninth day of the war, Margashirsha Shukla Ashtami, guys. Ashtami. Okay. Now, when does the eclipse happens? When does the any lunar or solar eclipse happens? Solar eclipse happens on Amavasya. That is like 8 or 9 days ago. And when does the lunar eclipse happens? On the full moon. So which is also like 7 or 8 days. So this is right like a middle point if you think. And there are references to eclipse-like descriptions. And I'm showing this to you. Now what will happen? And I hope it happens now, or if they know now that I mention it, they will not say anything because they don't want to run away again with the tail between the legs. But somebody will say, come on now. So the the eclipse happens either on Amavasya or on a full moon. And why there is a description of eclipse-like situation on the ninth day of the war. Stay with this thought. I'm going to explain this to you. How beautiful is this? Okay, very consistent the way Vyasadeva is describing. Okay, the mention of eclipse, the mention of a full moon, the mention of no moon, meaning no moon descriptions. I don't know. I don't know if I mentioned that. Actually, if I go back for a second, like to this time, so say like a seventh day here. Okay, until 7 days, guys, there are no descriptions of the moon. The first 7 days of the war, there are no mention, no descriptions of the moon. Now, sometime there is occasionally you will look at one, and if it comes, and I'll show you how to deal with that. But like when it says Soma Suryo Nabhastale, like on the Amavasya description, yeah, that's not to be counted. But my point is, if there is a moon description or a full moon description, I'll show you how to deal with that. A rare description may exist, but so far in the evidence that I showed, there was no description of a moon for the first 7 days. Now you come to the 8th day and you find this first description of a moon. Shushubhe Chandrama Yukto Diptayariva Mahagrahe. 8th day is the first description of the moon. Keep that in mind. Not a full moon, just Shushubhe Chandrama. Now you go to the 9th day and let's see. Again, sun descriptions are there. Of course, sun is there every day. Let's see. No, not here of the moon either. Okay, now here. Very interesting. Notice this. On the 9th day, we are still on the 9th day. Okay, I'll just read the important verse. Abhya drava drane drauni rahu ke shashinam yatha. Because I have the translation there, here I'll read that. तब रथियों में श्रेष्ठ सात्यकी ने कृपाचार्य को छोड़कर जैसे आकाश में राहु चंद्रमा पर आक्रमण करता है, उसी प्रकार युद्ध स्थल में अश्वत्थामा पर धावा किया. Naturally, it is a terrestrial equal to celestial. There is a comparison, but the comparison is with what? The way Rahu attacks the moon. Remember what I said, you are only going to find the reference to the node of a moon only as a Rahu, never as a Ketu in Mahabharata. There are other Mahabharata researchers, one lady, she keeps on claiming some really, really irritating, idiotic things, putting the words in my mouth, okay, in a wrong way, of course, and saying, okay, well, this guy doesn't even know Ketu. Everybody knows Ketu. Yes, lady, in our times, everybody knows. Again, I'm being very specific. In the Mahabharata, the node of the moon is only referred to as a Rahu. Ditto for Ramayana also, but Ramayana is not the subject. Okay, so here, notice the reference is coming to like Rahu attacking the Chandrama. Okay, now look at this here. Where is our Rahu or Ketu? In fact, if you notice, see, you see this line here, this black line here, that is the path of the moon. Like this yellow-green line is the path of the sun, the ecliptic. So here the moon is actually going to come here and cross here, which means what? This is the full moon kind of a position. There is no full moon here. This is the shadow of the earth here. But the point is, where this moon's path is crossing the ecliptic is, say, right here around Mrugashirsha. And this is a mathematical point. Actual region of a Rahu can be broader, like plus minus 1, 2 nakshatra. And you'll see that actually in reality, that's the case. And if you know astronomy, you know this. I don't need to tell you. If you don't know astronomy, you have to take this on a Shraddha. If you cannot take it on a Shraddha, go do Pradnya, go do Tapasya. Okay. So what it is showing, so actually the area of a moon is right here. That middle cross point, that's mathematical point, say plus minus 2 nakshatra. Okay. And you can go and test on astronomy. That's the whole region of the eclipse region. Okay, the eclipse can actually occur anywhere. It doesn't exactly occur necessarily at the mathematical point of the node. So you have now Rahu, that whole area, attacking the moon. It's very, very close. So if I do from Mrugashirsha, say here, go to nakshatra, so Ardra Punarvasu on one side and Rohini Kritika here, and moon is like additional 2 nakshatras or 3 nakshatras. That is described there as Rahu attacking the moon. Again, there is a one additional description. Drishtva putra tatha grastam Rahu neva nishakaram. Okay, in the same chapter, just few verses later, again there is a mention of a Rahu. Guys, I have mentioned it is there even something that is what is it, 7 days removed, 7 days removed from the day of a full moon. Right now it is about, say, like here, so 1 2 3 4 5 6, about 7 days removed from the, I just counted the nakshatra between the position of the full moon and where the moon is. And there is a description of an eclipse. Now ask the question, why? We'll see why, but notice that this position of the moon, like position of the node, is very, very close to the moon. So 9th day, there is a description of Rahu. Okay, eclipse-like description, I'm mentioning it. Okay, yeah, we are on the 10th day. Now Margashirsha Shukla Nomi, this is the day Bhishma fell in the battle and then waited on the bed of arrows, waiting for the day of winter solstice for more than 95 days, as Mahabharata tells us beautifully. What do we see on the 10th day of the war? So it says, yeah, so of course Bhishma fell down, I'll not go into that story, whoever, I'll just skip that. Okay. Nivrittim Shashi Suryayo. Okay, so Upabhoktu Manushyabhya Sharashayagato Yayam Pratikshamanastishtami Nivrittim Shashi Suryayo. Guys, this gets too long, but I need to mention. So here it's just very interesting that actually he's waiting for the day of winter solstice. Okay, and that's so Uttarayan, like Nivrutta meaning like changing the direction, and in that sense it is used. What is very interesting is he's waiting for the sun and the moon to change path. Okay, so really it is the sun, but does moon also changes path? Yes, it does, but it is not for anyone who only knows, say, who doesn't know astronomy, definitely not for them. Who knows astronomy 101, not for them. Astronomy 102 or 201, not for them. Astronomy 301, not for them. Astronomy 401, not for them. We barely can get into it. May dare to explain what that is, like Nivrittim both Shashi Suryayo, if we get to astronomy 501. If you think you are there, read blogs of Rupa Bhattiji. She has, through some blogs or even some of her talks on astrology, has already discussed this, but I'll skip it for now. That could be a 2-hour long talk, and still people are like, I don't understand. I'm not convinced. When they say I'm not convinced, which means most cases they don't understand a damn thing. Okay, that's usually the case, not always. Okay, let's go to the next one. Sorry, there is something more. Yeah, and now the Bhishma is waiting here for that Uttarayana. That is also, this is explained through Pratikshamanam Tishtami Nivrittim Shashi Suryayo. Through this also he's exactly saying the same thing. Uttarayana Manvicham Bhishma Kurupitamaha. He's waiting there. How Dharayamasa Cha Pranan Patito Hi Pihi Bhutale, they're waiting there and so on. 10th day, okay. Anytime these things comes, guys, as I said, it comes as a nimitta, it comes as a upaman, it comes as embellishments, and it comes just like that. Nimittani nimittadnyam. All the evidence is nimitta or upamana. Okay, there are these Mahabharata researchers just make a big fuss about, oh, that's a nimitta. Well, everything they're using is a nimitta. I don't understand where their intelligence goes when they do that. Whether they use the evidence from Udyoga Parva, they use the evidence from Bhishma Parva, they use the Bhishma Parva chapter 2, Bhishma Parva chapter 3, Bhishma Parva chapter 108. It's nimitta, guys, or upaman, or embellishments. What is happening here? 10th day, very important reference. First thing, right in the sky during the wartime, for example, so to say, this is before, by the way, this is 116 and 114, and this is 108, before Bhishma fell down. This is a description during the daytime. Think of this as an afternoon, maybe. So when the war is beginning and whoever is fighting there, okay, I think Ashwathama is describing this, if I'm correct. Anyways, so he says, Pariveshas tatha goras chandra bhaskar yorabhut. Okay, see, they are seeing in the sky both moon and sun. What does that tell you? During the daytime, they are seeing moon and the sun. This is the time, this is the 10th day of the war, and this is still the Shukla Paksha. Those people who assume, I don't know based on what, the first day of the war to be Margashirsha Shukla Ekadashi or Margashirsha Shukla Trayodashi. In reality, they even make additional blunders. Slowly, I will bring them out if and when I get time. Actually, they think, or they claim, or they want people to think what the day they are showing is a Margashirsha Shukla Ekadashi, Margashirsha Shukla Trayodashi. In reality, it's not. Actually, they are showing the next month, Pausha. Pausha Shukla Ekadashi, Pausha Shukla Trayodashi. They pretend that it is a Margashirsha. That's an additional pain, additional disaster. We'll slowly get there. But if the day begins, forget the lunar month, Pausha, that is another big problem. That is not Margashirsha. They fool people, making them think it's a Margashirsha. But something more. The 10th day of the war, in their timeline, because they make the war begin on the day of Ekadashi or Trayodashi. So what? From Ekadashi, 4 days, 4 or 5 days, 4 days, and from Trayodashi, 2 more days, okay? The war began, and the Shukla Paksha is over. Now it's a Krishna Paksha. And when it's a Krishna Paksha, guess what? At the same time in the sky during the day, you are not going to see the moon and the sun. But here that is described, okay? In this, it's a description of the afternoon, by the way. Okay, but something more. If somebody is not convinced, somebody is overwhelmed with what I'm trying to tell, an explanation, zero knowledge of astronomy or very low knowledge of astronomy, let's go to the next one. This is something, again, very easy, guys. Try to observe it, definitely in village, but definitely also in cities. I think I have shown it on the next page. Apasavyam grahascha krura lakshmanam nishakaram avakshirascha bhagavan udatishtata chandrama. Bhagavanu datishtata chandrama. Okay, I'll take this on one separate page. I think I have done this. There you go. So, okay, so just let's skip through that. I'm going to bring it back. Now, just like on the 9th day, the descriptions of eclipse began. Okay, the context of a Rahu, the node It is not eclipse, the node, description of a node. Now we are on the 10th day. We have a description of a Rahu. I'm not avoiding it. It's there, guys. Okay. Now, sometimes it gets missed because depending on quickly what you are following, if you're following a critical edition may have some difference from, say, Gita press edition. So sometimes the things will happen. I'll show you one difference here, not with the Rahu, but with the full moon. Okay. If you take this from a critical edition, what do you see? Parvaniva Susankruddho Rahur Ugro Nishakaram. And if you go to the Gita press edition, it says Parvaniva Susankruddho Rahu Purna Nishakaram. Ugro turned to Purna. This is called Pathabhed. Okay, in this case, not a significant change of meaning. You will see how Pathabhed can totally change the meaning upside down 180-degree opposite on very crucial evidence. I will not even mention what that crucial evidence is, okay? But that will create sensations in the Mahabharata research, okay? We'll come to that. So what is the quick translation? Tadanantar कुपित हुए पांडुपुत्र अर्जुन दुशासन को उसी प्रकार पीड़ा देने लगे जैसे पूर्णिमा के दिन अत्यंत क्रोध में भरा हुआ राहु पूर्ण चंद्रमा को पीड़ा देता है. So the 10th day, the moon of the 10th day is described like a full moon. जैसे क्रोध में भरा हुआ राहु पूर्ण चंद्रमा को पूर्णिमा के दिन जैसे पूर्णिमा के, meaning it's not saying it's a full moon, but like a full moon, like the full moon, like the moon of the full moon, he was giving pida. Okay, the Arjun is giving pida to Dushasan. On the 10th day of the war, you can just do the illumination of the moon, and that's going to be more than 70%. Okay, out of 100%, 0 to 100, 0 is Amavasya, 100 is Purnima, 70%, pretty darn bright. And again, I want you to go to villages away from light pollution and experience it for yourself. Okay, all right. So now that Apasavya, again, this is a signature Shukla Paksha on the 10th day of the war. This itself destroys the 18-day timeline of anyone who claims that for their claim, the war begins on Shukla Ekadashi or Shukla Trayodashi or a full moon. Destroyed, falsified, gone, kaput, okay, finito, whatever you want to call it. Last line, avakshirascha bhagavan bhagwanu udati tishtata chandrama. So what is it saying? On the 10th day of the war, the moon was rising or has risen, whatever, with its pointed end downwards. This happens only during the Shukla Paksha, and this is the 10th day of the war, guys. So for anyone claiming war beginning on the Shukla Ekadashi or Shukla Trayodashi, by second or the fourth day, depending on one of those two, Shukla Paksha is over. So by the 10th day, the description of moon rising with pointed ends down will not apply. So this evidence falsifies that particular timeline. Anyone claiming that, beginning with Ekadashi, Shukla Ekadashi, Shukla Trayodashi. Something more. People able to see sun here and the moon together in the sky during the daytime, of course, that's what we are saying, sun is there in the daytime, will simply not happen if it's a Vadya Paksha or Krishna Paksha. Again, that reference I showed you on the previous page, Gorash Chandra Bhaskara Yorobhut, that's also gone. Okay, all right. Gone's meaning it falsifies those particular claims. Okay. This is a local falsification for the 18 days of the war, not the year. They have never shown how they arrived at those years, by the way. Anyone claiming anything around 3000 BCE, they will never able to take any piece of evidence, either individually or in a group from the Mahabharata text, and will able to show how they arrived at 3000 BC or any date around 3000 BC plus minus 1000 years. That's how precise and powerful the Mahabharata evidence is. Okay, now we are on the day 11. Surya, okay, Chastam Anuprapte Rajasa Chabhi Samvrute. Let's look at the translation. Day 11, that's Margashirsha Shukla Dashmi. सूर्य देव अस्ताचल को चले गए, संपूर्ण जगत अंधकार से व्याप्त हो गया. उस समय न कोई शत्रु पहचाना जाता था, न मित्र. Okay, so now notice here, 11th day, Margashirsha Shukla Dashmi is pretty like, moon is going to be in the sky for a decent time. But the description is coming as like, hey, you know what? When sunset, Suryadev अस्ताचला को चले गए, संपूर्ण जगत अंधकार से व्याप्त हो गया. Which means what? Some time has gone by after the sunset. Now, see, somebody will say, well, look, this itself is like a description. The other parties, they will say, look, this means like it's a day close to Amavasya. Like I was claiming on the first day. Well, look at which day it is. Day 11. Now, per these folks, like when they claim, they can use this evidence if they choose to in support of their claim. Yeah, so Suryasto, as soon on the 11th day, sun set, and guess what? There was a darkness. Because according to them, if you take, say, Ekadashi, so first 4 days, and we have to go 6 days further, which is what? That lunar month and Vadya Shashti, which means moonrise is going to come out late at night and sun has gone. So yes, there will be a period of darkness at that time. So this reference can be used if they choose to for their support. Now, some amazement happens. They will dare not use this reference in their support. I will make you think why that is so. Sometime we will address that. Actually, once I go through this whole evidence and other nuances for each day of the war, you will see it, why they don't use it. Because they, simple answer, broad answer, they do not have Vijnana Buddhi. They do not understand how the science does. Richard Feynman used to say, let's do some science or let's do some physics. They don't know what it means when you say, let's do some science or let's do some physics, let's do some Mahabharata astronomy. They don't know that. That's why they will not use it. Even I'm giving this, guys, this can be used in support of their timeline. They will not use it. Actually, because they don't understand it, or they understand it well enough that they know what a trap this is. Okay, but I'll leave it at that for today. All right, let's look at the second one. This is also another fun thing, guys, these Mahabharata researchers create. One Mahabharata researcher used this reference. Now, here's the translation. I never said it. Now, he translates in his own idiotic way. And then takes this reference and puts it into my mouth. Like his stupid translation, he puts it into my mouth. Do you know what he had done? This is the reference. Okay, I'll just quickly read. Chitre rathe pandu suto babhase nakshatra chitre vyativa chandra. Again, mention of a moon is there. We have seen a full moon description right even on the 10th day. Okay, Rahu Purna. What was that? Rahu Purna Nishakaram. So full moon description is already there on the 10th day. And I'm showing this here. There is no full moon description on the 11th day, but since it's there already on the 10th day, you can assume it here. I'm not asking people to assume that other Mahabharata researcher has tried to put in my mouth and said something. I'll tell you. So if he wants to assume full moon, yeah, I'm very much with it. I'm claiming right from the 10th day, not me claiming. Vyasadeva is saying it. Just like from the 9th day, Vyasadeva is referring to the node Rahu. Okay, so here, what did he say? Let's look at the reasonably correct translation. जैसे नक्षत्रों द्वारा चित्त कबरे प्रतीत होने वाले आकाश में चंद्रमा सुशोभित होते हैं, उसी प्रकार इंद्रनील, पद्मराग, सुवर्ण, वज्रमणि, मूंगे तथा स्फटिक आदि प्रधान प्रधान मणिरत्नों से विभूषित विचित्र रथ में बैठे हुए पांडुनंदन अर्जुन शोभा पा रहे थे. This person with his idiotic translation takes the word chitre rathe and nakshatra chitre as, he translated as a full moon in nakshatra chitra. This has nothing to do with the chitra nakshatra, by the way. He does the idiotic translation. He puts it in my mouth and says, I am claiming a full moon of chitra, or of the full moon of lunar month of Chitra on the 11th day of the war. That's the kind of utter foolishness, deliberate nonsense these Mahabharata researchers are doing. And I would encourage you, because I know where, I don't know exactly where he has said it. Hopefully he doesn't delete it. Actually, he should get busy deleting it if he wants to. And still, I'm sure I will find that fellow saying this somewhere, or in the tweets, or in some Facebook, or in some his writing or something. I have never said it. This guy takes the word nakshatra chitre, foolishly, idiotically translate this as the full moon of Nakshatra Chitra, therefore the full moon of the lunar month of Chitra, puts it in my mouth forcefully and says, I am claiming these, and then he laughs at it. He laughs at himself. He just does not realize that that's what he's doing. All right. And people say, oh, I use tough language. Guys, I don't know what you'll be using if you are in my place. And this is not even addressed at a person. I have to point to the person because it's the person who is doing this idiocy. So idiocy is what I'm pointing. But if I don't give the reference, you won't even believe that, oh, okay, who did that? I will give you that as a homework right now to figure out who did this. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. So 12th day of the war, Margashirsha Shukla Ekadashi. This is what many, not many, this is what few Mahabharata researchers very erroneously consider as the first day of the Mahabharata war. All the evidence I have shown you so far basically falsifies that claim. What is it showing here? What is the Mahabharata saying for the first day of the war? Okay, now this is Margashirsha Shukla 11. Now don't confuse, guys. That Shukla 11 has to be the 12th day of the war. So the description I'm reading is for the 12th day of the war, okay? Not the first day, remember that. Beautiful description, not only of the phase, but also the position. It says, Kritika Yoga Yuktena Purnamasyam Iva Induna. That Indu is a moon again, the India, by the way. So on the 12th day of the war, the moon, full moon like moon, Purnamasya Iva Induna, like as if what I'm going to call it, was in yoga with a Krittika Nakshatra, Krittika Yoga Yuktena. My timeline, what day is the 12th day of the war? It began on October 16. If you do a simple mathematical count and don't make a mistake, it's October 27. What is the position of the full moon like moon on October 27? Next to Nakshatra Krittika. This is called Indriya Pramanya, objective testing, empirical testing. There is a description in the Mahabharata text, Krittika Yoga Yuktena Purnamasya Venduna, Purnamasya Iva Induna, for the 12th day of the war, for my timeline. And this is, I'm not saying 12th day I decided looking at this particular scenario and say, yeah, let's say October 27 is the 12th day. No, that's like doing it reverse. But by the way, nothing wrong with that. I'll show you many instances in Valmiki Ramayana where I had to do the dating of specific events based on the evidence like that, because there is no additional evidence available. But in this case, so then you cannot use that evidence twice to validate it because you used it to predict. In this case, I use this evidence to predict and an independent, because Amavasya is predicted, and then the 12th day comes where the full moon like moon is near Kritika. A beautiful corroboration, a very high degree of corroboration, high degree of testability, high degree of corroboration. Okay. All right. Again, is this the only instance when the moon is described as a Purnimasya moon, full moon? No, it was already described on the 10th day. Again, there is additional reference. Sampurna Chandra Abhamukha Padma Patra Nibhekshana. This is the description on the 12th day of the Mahabharata war. Something else. Bharat Nandan, दोनों ओर की सेनाएं अत्यंत आहत होकर खून से लथपथ हो एक दूसरे की ओर देख रही थी। इतने ही में सूर्यदेव अस्ताचल को जा पहुंचे। फिर तो वे दोनों ही धीरे धीरे अपने अपने शिविर की ओर चल दी। Two things. The fighting did not last for a long time beyond sunset. Yeah, and people will say, well, hold on now. It's a Margashirsha Shukla 11, and how come they are not fighting into the night? The description is given if only people know how to read it. It says they were totally exhausted, like the war is now continuing for the 12 days. Now Drona is getting fierce after Bhishma. Bhishma also, like, remember you saw the 9th day, they kind of quickly went, they ran away, the Pandava army. Both parties are exhausted, and even it's not like they went right away. अस्ताचल को जहां पहुंचे फिर तो वे दोनों भी धीरे धीरे अपने अपने शिविर की ओर चल दी. So slowly somebody says, okay, I had enough, and then they go back. So yes, the war did continue for some time after, but they were exhausted, they went. Okay. All right, the 12th day of the war. Let's see. All right, 13th day, Margashirsha Shukla Dwadashi. What do we have? we have here the moon description. Okay, so that Tarapati, that is the moon. So moon description is there. Then we have Chandra Ivambarat, moon in the sky. So moon description is there. Do we have a full moon? Absolutely. Purna Chandrena Nakshatra Gadamalini. It's a full moon like moon. Somewhere go to like any astronomy book, go to simulation, a sophisticated simulation, not some ordinary simulation, and look at the illumination of the moon. Say full moon, plus minus 5 days, plus minus 6 days. You'll be impressed. It's typical like a 70% plus, very bright. The moon of a Dashmi, which is 5 days before, 5 or 6 days before, it's very, very bright. I mean, many times people will say, oh, is this a full moon? Like people who are not seeing this every day, the moon of a Dashmi. Okay, like that. So this is what? The Dwadashi. Yeah, Purna Chandrena. We saw that on the 10th day. We saw on the 11th day. We are saying Purna Chandrena on the 12th day. I'll just, for time, I'll just skip this, but you can slow it down and read it. Yeah, let's look at some translation. राजन, हम लोग शत्रुओं के उस प्रमुख वीर का वध करके उनके बाणों से पीड़ित हो संध्या के समय शिविर में विश्राम के लिए चले आए। उस समय हम लोगों के शरीर रक्त से भीग गए थे। संध्या के समय में दे आए। नो, दैट डजंट टेल एग्जैक्टली व्हेन। महाराज, हम और शत्रु पक्ष के लोग युद्ध स्थल को देखते हुए धीरे धीरे वहां से हट गए। पांडव दल के लोग अत्यंत शोकग्रस्त हो अचेत हो रहे थे। नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग बाय द वे गाइस ऑन द 13th day? This is the day when Abhimanyu was killed. That is that context here. So Pandav dal ke log atyanta shokagrasta because Abhimanyu is killed on this day, and therefore also they are exiting. But let's read some further. उस समय जब सूर्य अस्ताचल पर पहुंचकर ढल रहे थे, कमल निर्मित मुकुट के समान जान पड़ते थे। दिन और रात्रि की संधिरूप व अद्भुत संध्या सियारिनों के भयंकर शब्दों से मंगल, ठीक है, पृथ्वी को अवस्था में लाते हुए अपने प्रिय शरीर अग्नि में. So sunset, the description of sunset. We already saw the description of a full moon like moon, because this is a Shukla Dwadashi, which means what? Even at sunset, moon is still up in the sky. Dwadashi, Shukla Dwadashi. Okay. Now, 13-day descriptions we are not done. We are going to look at a few more. Okay, so 12. Now this is 13. We saw moon, full moon. And now this is very important. 9th day we saw Rahu. 10th day we saw a reference to Rahu. I forgot if there was a reference to Rahu on the 11th day, guys. I might have to go back. Not here on the 11th day. On the 12th day, no, 12th day, no. Yeah, 12th day there is no description, 11th and 12th. Now 13th day description, you have a reference to Rahu or eclipse-like situation twice. I showed you on the 9th, I showed you on the 10th. There was no 11th and 12th. Now I'm showing you on the 13th. But full moon began on the 10th day. The Rahu began on the 9th. Keep track of this, guys. Okay. So Rahur Divakaram. Okay. So here the situation is like this. Why? Just look at the picture, guys. This is a phenomenal objective testing, Indriya Pramanya testing. Rahur Divakaram. Okay, so the Rahu position is the sun is approaching the node point, which means what? We are at that particular position. In the context of the moon, beautiful description. This is after Abhimanyu fell down. Abhimanyu was killed. Okay, and in that context, it is there. It is a description of Abhimanyu, terrestrial equal to celestial. Upaplutam yatha somam sashushkam iva sagaram purna chandra bhavadana kaka paksha vrutakshatam. We saw the full moon on the previous page for the 13th day. Here also we have a Purna Chandra Bhavan. Abhimanyu's face looked like this and something else. Upaplutam yatha somam. Guys, pay attention. As if the moon had eclipsed. You can go and look at the Sanskrit translation. Okay, go it yourself, or go to very expert, amazing Sanskrit experts. Go to snobby Sanskrit experts. I don't care. Go and ask them. You will get a very consistent answer. What does upaplutam means? Upaplutam yatha somam, as if moon is eclipsed. Okay, why? The moon eclipse, actually the moon eclipse is going to happen here in 2 days or 3 days, somewhere there, okay? 3 days here, 2, 3 days, it will come here because this is the time at the sunset. But the point is, why upaplutam yatha somam? This is a corroboration of a highest order, guys, highest order. Full moon like moon. Yeah, if you can look at this and look at the illumination, it will tell you that. But notice the position of the moon with respect to the mathematical point of the node of the moon. Again, remember, it's all Rahu in Mahabharata, so it doesn't matter. But as if moon is eclipse. Why? Because the position of the moon is right at the point of the mathematical node, mathematical Rahu. So there is no eclipse today, but as if it is eclipse. It is that precise, that accurate, what Vyasadeva is describing. All right, let's go to day 14th. Margashirsha Shukla 13, the whole day. Now the Jayadratha is going to be killed on this day. The description of that day talks about yeah, there is again the reference to the moon. Therefore, I'm just picking it up again. Remember, first 7 days there was no description of the moon anywhere. Now here, te pidayan bhimasena kruddha sapta maharatha praja samvarne rajan soma sapta grahaiva. I have covered this reference before, not going to spend time. 7 planets attacking the moon, just like 7 Kaurava brothers attacking the Bhima. Terrestrial is equal to celestial. That is the ingenuity, beauty of a Vasudev. Okay, so that's their valid, beautiful corroboration. 7 planets, I have discussed it. All watch all previous episodes in this series on the 14th day of the war. We are not done on the 14th day of the war. Let's go more. Quickly, I'm going to go here because this needs to be covered because many other Mahabharata researchers, at least some, have created a havoc and made a big fuss about the 14th night. These all references go against them, but I want to skip through that. So I just pulled these references as a reference point and just left it here. I will not discuss this, but I can tell you they go against those individuals who artificially, dogmatically, with a very limited knowledge claim that the 14th day of the Mahabharata war was such that there was a moon rise very late at night. And naturally, those are the people who claim Mahabharata war beginning on Shukla Ekadashi or Shukla Trayodashi or full moon. Okay, so we'll deal with that. But these are the references for my reference to basically show them why they are wrong. All of this from the 14th day of the war. Now, have we done with 14 day? No. Actually, look at the 14-day descriptions. Okay, by the way, in fact, the bottom one here, and could be at the top too, but definitely the bottom one. This is before, okay, before the war stopped in the middle of the night, I think, okay, I don't know for sure. And the one at the bottom are after the so-called sun became visible. So I am saying punah I'm missing the words. I mean, I'm not recalling the words. Chandramas udite puna. And there is the confusion there. And then the Mahindra Parvat, and that has caused the confusion. We'll address that. But Chandramas udite puna, like some people have translated, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but understand that things can be translated in multiple ways in some cases, like this one. They have said Chandramas udite puna, meaning when Chandrama Udita, when the moon rises, Puna, then begin the fighting again. That Puna they have used in that fashion. But if you look at the reference, it can also be translated even more appropriate in my, that's how I assert, Chandramas Udite Puna, which is to say, when the moon becomes visible again. It was already visible, full moon, full moon, full moon. But now when the moon becomes visible again, Chandramas Udite Puna, you can start fighting. Chandramas Udite Puna. The moon becomes visible. Udite means rising, but also becomes visible. Go check the Sanskrit dictionary. Okay. All right. For example, yeah, I will not digress the subject. I can tell you a lot more for circumpolar stars, and even they are mentioned as a udita. Like circumpolar stars are not going anywhere. They are always in the sky, but they are also described as udita because they became visible. When sun goes down, only then they become visible. That's where that udita word is used. Anyways, of course, udita also means rising. I'm not saying that. Therefore, it can be translated in different ways. But the quick point here, before the war stopped in the middle of the night on the 14th night, by the way, the whole night war continued. Do you know why? Because it is the night of the full moon. like Chaturdashi and a full moon, something like that. That's why the whole night the war continued. Just like, remember, first 5 days, sunset out. 6 day, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What is happening? Slowly, the time for how long they fight after sunset is going up. 13th day, they kind of stop very fast because of Abhimanyu's death. Just like on the 10th day, also, if you notice, they stopped fast because Bhishmacharya fell down. So you will notice that when some big warriors falls down, it doesn't matter which side, kind of the war has stopped. Like, one party has made a uh, significant hurt to the other side. They say, okay, I think this is enough for today, like Bhishmacharya falling and then Abhimanyu falling. This 14, Jayadratha has fallen. Okay, now that didn't matter. The war continued this through the moon. But you will see when Drona falls, you will see the similar thing. When uh, any other warriors, significant warriors fall, sometime, they will just stop the war. So it's one of those. But here, just before this 14th night, the war continued through the night. And again, how's the moon described? Right from day 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, we are here. Purna Shashi, Purna, full moon like moon. And again, these people who don't know anything about astronomy, they will idiotically translate and interpret that and then put it in my mouth, claiming or us saying that I'm saying there is a full moon happening every day. No, there is a full moon like moon. That is a basics ABC 101 of astronomy, guys. It becomes a digression. I would tell you even some of the definition of a Shukla Paksha versus Krishna Paksha. They were not exactly the same definitions that we have today. Or simultaneously, they have multiple definitions. Shukla Paksha in a certain way, but Shukla Paksha in another way. And Bharat Ratna, Panduranga Vaman Kane discusses these things into his history of a Dharma Shastra. Can you imagine that? Okay. If I get time ever, guys, possibly 5 years from now, there is so much to discuss in between. I will come to that. Okay. This different definition of a Shukla Paksha. And that time I'll discuss more. But in the meantime, if you are curious, enough jidnyasa, you can go and read History of a Dharma Shastra, Volume 3 of Panduranga Vamankani, and read the whole thing. Why not? But specifically the chapter on Kali Varja, where there is a wonderful Purvapaksha of this book written in 1960s, but wonderful Purvapaksha of many of the Mahabharata dating efforts that were prevalent at that time by 1960. Amazing. A book that is written has not directly connected to Mahabharata or Mahabharata dating, has done a way better Purvapaksha than any other Mahabharata researchers, exceptions 3 or 4 other individuals. I can tell you their names. Lokmanya Tilak, C.V. Vaidya, Shankar Balakrishna Dikshit, Dr. P.V. Vartak. That's it, guys. That's it. No other Mahabharata researcher has done a Purvapaksha like these 4 individuals or like Bharat Ratna Panduranga Vamankani. Okay, all right, let's go there. So now when the Chandramas Udite Puna, when the moon became visible again, this is my translation, as opposed to other people saying moon is rising and then again start the fighting. That is their translation. Guess what? That moon that has come up meaning has become visible, but according to them come up. Therefore, I'm specifically saying according to them come up. If you look at their date, it has to be moon of what? Vadya Dwadashi, Vadya Trayodashi, Vadya Chaturdashi, and Amavasya. Very low illumination. But look at the descriptions in the Mahabharata. Hara Vrusho Tamagatra Samudyati Smara Sharasana Purna Samaprabha. The moon is shining with full brightness. And, look at those romantic descriptions. Nava Vadhusmita Charu Manohara. And that also fun, I will tell you. This one guy that I mentioned, he was asking me about that moon in Magha and 7 planets near sun before the war. And when I showed it, he ran away with the tail between the legs. I know his name. I know exactly who it is. One day I will talk about him. He also objected to this. Navavadhu Smita Charu Manohara. And he says, like, when a lady smiles, like, isn't it like a crescent moon and not like a full moon? This is the kind of objection these guys take, such trivial objection, but I'm glad that he took. And I responded to him with actually the pictures. And I have presented that elsewhere. I don't know where that material is. I have to go and find it. When actually I did that again, this fellow ran away. Navavadhu Smita Charu Manohara. You can see many descriptions of that smile with the full moon. Like, we are talking about her face, not just the lips. He was just focusing on the lips. But the whole face is like a full moon, of a Navavadhu. How beautiful. Guys, you are looking at many psychological states, I mean, that will be another subject. Like, okay, so Navavadhu, the total hormonal balance and all the, what you say, the, I mean, you can, I don't know if you guys know, but like growing up, I would tell you, like, sometimes you just see a lady, young girl, and of course they all look beautiful, you can say that age is like that. But somebody who is newly married, and you can say, well, I mean, you may not know that, but you'll say, okay, she's newly married. That Navavadhu Smita Charu Manohara, she's like happy. I mean, in most cases, majority of the cases, I'm saying this has many things. There are many things there. As such, she's happy, she's feeling the blah, 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 but there is also different things at the hormonal level and so on. And yes, that adds to that pizzazz, and hey, I'm not making up this story. If you study subjects of that nature, I'm a chemical engineer, so I study hormonal balance and imbalances. Believe me, maybe when I'm done with the Mahabharata, Ramayana, Veda, I will start talking about those. But anyways, back to this. So it's a full moon. So when with references, I said, okay, so Navavadhu Smita Charu Manohara. Okay, let's for a minute assume that it's the lips, and smiling lips will be like a crescent moon. My dear friend, for heaven's sake, are you so blind that you cannot read the line just one above? Smara Sharasana Purna Samaprabha. Purna Samaprabha. And not only that, just go one line even above. Now, by the way, below, Pravisruta Kumudakara Bandhava. Do you know who Kumudakara is? That's the moon that is being described. That moon is Purna Samaprabha, but something more. Hara Vrushottama Gatra Samudyati. Now, Hara Vrusha is what? Nandi. And that person said, oh, the moon's comparison to the Nandi's comparison to the moon, that doesn't make sense, and blah, 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 blah. I quoted, I don't have that material. I mean, it is there somewhere saved, but it's not readily available. I'll find it, by the way. The full moon comparison to Nandi, I also showed that. Like, look at the Nandi, the white Nandi. Like, who do you compare, with a crescent moon or a full moon? I posted some pictures, the Nandi of a Shiva, Hara Vrushottama Gatra Samudyati, like his whole body. Smarasharasana Purna Samaprabha, Navavadhusmita Charu Manohara. This is the description of the moon once it became visible again. For my translation, or according to these folks, it rose. What is this description? Purna Samaprabha, shining with the full brightness. That is a full moon of a Purnima. That is a Purnima moon. And again, if you go further, Dasha Shataksha Kakubdarini Sruta Kirana Kesara Bhasura Pinjara Timira Varuna Yutha Vidarana Samudya Udaya Chalakesari. The brightness was such that it completely removed the darkness. Completely removed the darkness. Now, which moon does that? The moon of Vadya, Dwadashi, Trayodashi, Chaturdashi, and Amavasya. Please start studying astronomy, guys. Give us a break. Okay, the stupidity has limits. You have already crossed them. And there are many references. As I said, before that, there is a Purna Shashi Prakasham, Purna Shashi Prakasham. And again, when we go into the detail, we'll see why the moon became hidden. Okay, I don't want to spend time on that. But related to that, I have also evidence already captured here, but that's a separate session, multiple sessions possibly for 14th day of the war. The 14th day of the war begins. Remember, we have the reference to the node, the Rahu, eclipse-like situation, whatever, on the 9th day of the war, 10th day of the war, then 11th, 12th, it was just not there. I'll come to that also, because some idiot will come and says, oh, how come then it's not mentioned on 11th and 12th days of the war? I will address that once I split this evidence and discuss it more. I'm already at 2 hours, guys, and I'm still on the 14th day of the war. And this is not like I want to make this bigger. No, but I'm at it. I might as well explain this to you, and you can watch in parts. Okay. All right. So we are on the still day on day 14. On the 9th day, 10th day, 11, 12, no, but 13 and now 14, we have a references to the node. Why? We are in that region, guys. We are following the moon, and this is the mathematical point of the node, and this is the point of full moon. Okay, yeah, there you go. 14th day. Bhanu Mani Rahuna. Rahu. I'll go fast to somehow say one time. Next, Ke Somam Iva Rahuna. In the sky, Soma near Rahu. Bhanuman Iva Rahuna. The sun near Rahu. Now, how is that possible? Rahu is both nodes. Don't get stuck into some fools telling you that the Ketu was also the word used for a node, moon's node in Ramayana or Mahabharata. That is not the case. How many times I need to tell them? These guys are not going to listen, okay? Because now they have said it publicly and they don't know how to accept the defeat. It's not to be taken personally. Sir Karl Popper said, good tests kill bad theories. We survive to guess again. Okay, but these people don't understand that. Bhanu, so Rahu near Bhanu, absolutely. If you have the nodal point near full moon position, like I'm showing, this is a full moon position and the node is very close, okay? This is the area of eclipse. Then exactly 180-degree opposite, that's where the sun is also there because it's close to Purnima here, and there also the other node. So Bhanuman Ivarahuna, He Somam Ivarahuna. Okay, here if both it doesn't, you're not convinced. Suryendu Timira Diva, Surya Indu are also getting into that area of a Timira, which means like eclipse-like situation. Okay, Timira Diva, like a daytime, the darkness can happen, which is like eclipse-like situation. They both are in that position. Beautiful corroboration, empirical testing, Indriya Pramanya. You are seeing these descriptions, and that's exactly can be shown for the 14th day of the war, October 29, 5561 BC. Okay, we are not done. Swarabhanu Riva Bhaskaram. Again, Swarabhanu, when you see the word, it's related to the Rahu, eclipse, blah, 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 near Bhaskaram. And here again, Rahu Amshamato Prataptam. Again, similar thing. Rahu. Swarabhanu on the 14th day of the war. Why would it not be, guys? I'm going to show you the eclipse on the 15th day. There you go. Now we are on the 15th day. There was an eclipse. Now, in terms of what kind of eclipse, how close it was, I have shown what the software showed. But as I said, it is very difficult to predict the type of eclipse and the timing of eclipse once you go beyond 2000 years. This is not an excuse. Therefore, I have that paper saved somewhere. I just don't know the title of it. So I try to search for it. It's on my hard drive and I can't find it. But read Narahari HR, Professor Narahari HR in his book, then you will see all the chaos and hoopla and a disaster in his book. But he will also find this reference paper that he has referred to, where why it is difficult to predict a eclipse before that. So this is not an excuse. Actually, this is a problem for anyone who is claiming anything related to any historical event more than 2000 years. This applies to anyone. So yes, when there is a conjunction, that means something happened. What we don't know is exact timing of it, the location where it could be seen, and the type of eclipse. That's where the uncertainty comes, okay? Let me go fast through this, guys. I have taken 2 hours plus and I need to go run, do something else. Okay, there is some reason why I have put these references here. I'll skip through them. I will come to that. It has to do with why a full moon, actually indeed it was a full moon day, 14th night, and why it still became invisible. It has to do, the reference is given there, but it has to do with something that was happening by the 14th day of the war. Okay, so these are those references. I'm skipping through them. Day 16. You can think of this as the full moon day or just after full moon day. Okay, again, for that you need to know when the full moon begins, when the full moon ends, and so on and so forth. Study, guys, basic astronomy 101. Day 16, Margashrisha full moon, I have called it because that's continuing through the 15th day. It's a full moon. 14, 15, 16, that's like a, think of this as a full moon day or that area. Look at the descriptions. Are you surprised? No, celestial, terrestrial equal to celestial, celestial is equal to terrestrial. Celestial full moon, Vyasadeva in his ingenuity using those descriptions in describing the scene on the ground. It doesn't matter, equal signs, celestial equal to terrestrial or terrestrial equal to celestial. Full moon day, near full moon day, look at the descriptions. Purna Chandrarka Padmanam, Purna Chandra Bhavaktrani, Purna Chandra Nibhair Mahim, Purna Chandra Nibadana, whatever it is. And yeah, this is also beautiful descriptions or how the things are opening up. Kumudot Pala Padmanam Kande, blah, blah, blah. And like you'll see Indu here, Nimelendu, Indu, okay, pure Indu there, Tara Gana Vichitrasya, again Sharan Nakshatra Malinim, the nakshatras of the Sharat season of the Mahabharata times, okay. And then again, you have here, just because we are covering sun and moon references, I just included that. There is no moon there. Nishcharanto Vyadrushanta Suryat Sapta Mahagraha, 7 planets going away from the sun. I have already discussed it. I'm not going to discuss it here, but it is there because sun and moon, therefore I included. We are not done with 16 days, guys. I'm exhausted. I'm tired, but I'm going to just complete this to 18 days. We are at 2 hours, 10 minutes. This will be possibly the longest episode, but hey, split it into 3 or 4 if you need to, but do watch it. This is a kick-ass evidence, okay? Day 16th, Margashrisha full moon, as I said, 14, 15, 16. Beautiful. That also the Mahabharata researchers have made a blunder out of this. Okay, what does it say? Shiraschatat Purna Shashi Prabhananam. Surprise? Not anymore. Purna Shashi, okay? And then the next one, it says the full moon, and this is a comparison of some a warrior who has fallen, whatever, and his kundala, his earrings, like, so on the ground, what is being seen, his face between his earrings is kundala, is compared with the moon between the two Vishakha, and like as if those earrings. Now, just like I said, there was this one reference, and any individuals, any Mahabharata researchers who claim Mahabharata war beginning with a Shukla Ekadashi, Shukla Trayodashi, or a Purnima, there are Mahabharata researchers, by the way, if you don't believe me, who think Mahabharata war began on Shukla Ekadashi, Shukla Trayodashi, and full moon, okay? Go figure, in spite of this evidence, because they're not aware of this evidence. They don't understand what is evidence. Okay. So now what they do is, just like I said, there was one reference, they can use it in support of their date, but they will dare not use it. Same thing here. Forget Purna Shashi Prabhananam. They will not able to use it. In fact, that is the reason they will never use this reference in support of theirs, although they can use it. But then they will get trapped here, and with all the evidence I'm showing you, that's why they will dare not use it. And I'm waiting, hoping that somebody uses it. Okay, therefore they will always find a tangent, a change of goalpost, because face to face, they cannot fight. They're not fighting with me. They're fighting with the evidence embedded by Vyasadeva. Second line, besides the full moon, which it is just next to the full moon position, but it says the comparison of this warrior with a kundala and his full moon face in between with the full moon, the Shashi, between Vishakhas, Vishakhayor Madhyagata Shashiyata. And then this, actually they can, for example, those people who do, like who claim Mahabharata war beginning like that, Margashrisha Pausha, Shukla Ekadashi, Shukla Trayodashi, more or less, they will able to show that their moon, not full moon, because they started in Shukla Paksha and now this is day 16. So they are very closely approaching, Amavasya, still far away from Amavasya, but closer to Amavasya. They will not able to show full moon, but they very likely will able to show the moon near Vishaka. So they can use this observation saying, hey, look, on 16th day, it says moon between Vishaka, and look, my moon is near Vishaka, and good corroboration. I would agree. They should use it. They dare not use it. They should, I'm saying they should be using it. They dare not use it because that will again destroy their thesis. Okay. And we will see why that is so. We have to understand truth likeness score or verisimilitude score, which requires Vijnana Buddhi or common sense. Okay. We are still continuing day 16. My God, what's happening? Okay, so let's read what it is. Yeah. That's why I pulled this. Okay, so I'll quickly jump into the translation. This is one-on-one. You can see that. Okay. Yeah, you can see the Patha Ved also. Evam Tesha becomes Twadiyanam Tada and so on and so forth. Right. Okay, quickly. इस प्रकार जब आपके विजयाभिलाषी सैनिक, please excuse me, I need to quickly check. This is how, guys, my life is. Okay, because I'm expecting some urgent messages that I need to act on, and life goes on. Okay, so pardon the disturbance. Okay, that's why I need to split this, guys. I'm exhausted already, but 16 day, 2 more days to go, or 3 more days. Okay, let's get into the translation. 16 day. Remember, Margashirsha full moon very close to it, 14, 15, 16. 16 day. What are they saying? इस प्रकार जब आपके विजयाभिलाषी सैनिक युद्ध में संलग्न हो रहे थे, उसी समय सूर्यदेव अस्ताचल पहुंचकर डूब गए. दिस इज 16 डे ऑफ द वॉर. ओके, नाउ on this day nothing dramatic has happened per se. Okay, but see, every day the situation is different. Why they do things, the dynamics of the war is such, battle is such that the dynamics is hard to predict. But Vyasadev is still giving us these reasons only if we are willing to do the tapasya and read Mahabharata. This is the lesson I want to show you through this slide. Okay. Okay. So sun has set. 16 day. It's very close to a full moon. If they want to, they can continue to the war. They can continue the war. They have done it 14th night. Okay. Just 2 days before they have done through the whole night. Why not today? The 15th day, the previous day, I mean, again, I don't want to go back and take your time. The previous day, I forgot what happened. 15th, let's see. 15, yeah. So they actually stopped. Okay, there is not many references to 15th night. So why did they stop? Because Drona has been killed on that day. Okay, and Drona is a puja to both sides, and they stopped. Just like on the Bhishma, 10th day, they stopped. On 13th day, when Abhimanyu was killed, Pandava stopped, and of course, Kauravas were also happy. They also said, hey, we accomplished a lot. Let's take a break. They are exhausted. Killing Abhimanyu was not easy even on them. Okay. Now look at the 16th day. No significant, I mean, there must be some warriors must have been killed, but no big warrior, or at least it's not in the description. Maharaj, after sunset, उस समय, please listen, उस समय अंधकार और विशेषता धूल से सब कुछ आच्छादित होने के कारण हम लोग किसी भी शुभ या अशुभ वस्तु को देख नहीं पाते थे. Very interesting. Sunset has happened, and he's saying even after sunset, because of अंधकार, उस समय अंधकार और विशेषता धूल से, because it has been covered with the dust, they couldn't see anything. Actually, the sense there is as if they should be able to see. Why? Because it's a full moon night, just like the 14th day. भारत वे महाधनुर्धर योद्धा रात्रि युद्ध से डरते थे, इसलिए इट्स समस्त सैनिकों के साथ उन्होंने वहां से शिविर को प्रस्थान किया. सो रात्रि, व्हाट इज दैट लास्ट लाइन सेइंग देयर, द 39 वर्स, रात्रि युद्ध इज पॉसिबल. दे हैव डन इट 14th night. Okay, 15th maybe because of Drona they stopped. But 16th, no, some significant, like a big warrior is gone, like a very famous emotionally attached warrior like a Bhishma or Drona or Abhimanyu. So in principle, war could continue. See, the reason they're stopping is what? Because of the dust, it has been covered, sort of a dark. Plus, the warriors are fearful of fighting at night. They have the whole experience of a 14th night. डरते थे, इसलिए समस्त सैनिकों के साथ they return. ते त्रसंतो महेश्वासा रात्रि युद्धस्य भारत अपयानम ततश्चक्रु सहिता सर्वयोधि. Very important, guys. Okay, so like people will ask, I mean, nobody has asked, okay, but they say, oh, why did they not fight on 16? Why did they not fight on 15? Why did they not continue the fight on 13th day? Why did they not continue the fight on the 10th day? Well, We know exactly why it is. In fact, it's the other way. Some big warrior, famous, emotionally connected warrior falls, they stop the war, even though they could fight in principle. On 16th day, no big warrior has fallen, and the Vyasadeva sees a reason to give the justification, reason to give the explanation through whoever are discussing here, Sanjay or whichever party is discussing here. This says there was a dust, therefore there is a darkness, but also the warriors were fearful of fighting at night. But the sense is they could fight if they choose to, because it is a day near full moon day. And we are going to see implications of that the next day. You will see 17th day. We are almost done now. Margashish, or maybe not, who knows? But this is how super rich this evidence is, just of the moon and the sun, guys. Okay. Margashish, sorry, day 17, Margashirsha Vadya. Now we have crossed that day, and now we are in the Shukla Paksha, last 2 days. 1st November 5561 BC. The day is very close to, just after, so to say, you can say after the full moon day. It is like a full moon. पूर्णचंद्रोपमं तदा पूर्णचंद्राभवक्त्रं च पूर्णचंद्रनिकाशेन पूर्णचंद्रनिभानने Shashi Prakashananam like Shashi Prakash is full, and you can read that description. Here, Soma Paripurno Virajate, Paripurna, full moon here. Purna Chandra Samadhyati. Guys, if this evidence doesn't make somebody understand, I don't think Vyasadeva cannot do anything. And Vyasadeva, not in case of this, now Vyasadeva would have felt the same frustration. But the reason Ityas is written is what? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshanam, Upadesham, Samanvitam. Okay, it provides as a guiding manual, provides as a case study. Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam Itihasam Prachakshate. What is a case study? Purva Vrittam, something that has already occurred in a corporate world with some companies. Katha Yuktam, it is put forward in such a fashion that not all the details are given, so that it gives you a open case study for you to think through multiple solutions. No one solution is wrong. The idea is not to find exactly the solution that the corporate CEO or CFO or CTO or whoever CEO would have found. The idea is, if you come across such a situation, how would you think as a business professional? Same thing. Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam Itihasam Prachakshate. It is given as a case study format. Therefore, what Akhyan and Upakhyan. My point is, Vyasadeva is using all these opportunities, and here also, even when he has given such a wonderful evidence, still people don't understand it. Still people draw extremely foolish and inappropriate and illogical and false conclusions. Now, when I talk about it, people think, oh, it's my frustration. It's, well, it is a frustration, but it's not. I mean, I'm happy about it. It's a manthan, it's a good one. Vyasadeva is saying this, not necessarily in this context, but other. Like why was he teaching, why was he writing Itihasa? Dharmartha Kama Moksha Anam Upadesham Samanvitam. Okay, to provide as a guidebook for Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And still people were not taking it. Just like, even, I keep on saying, guys, read Mahabharata. And of course, many people do. Aditya Satsangi of Satyology tells me, because he has a one-on-one connection with the students and whatnot, or whoever, his group. He says thousands of people, thousands, guys. And these are many of the 70% of them are Americans, and they could be American Indians too, but many non-Indians also, based on his what he told me. Thousands of people, 70% non-Indians, are reading Mahabharata. And he says, Nilesh, I mean, they actually tell him, because of Adityaji's show with me, like we have 120 shows, 20 episodes now on Satyology, that has encouraged them to take to the reading of Mahabharata. My point is, Vyasadeva felt frustration too. I mean, he has said right in the Mahabharata, right? Urdhva baho or viromesha nacha kaschit shrunoti maham. With hands raised, I'm shouting, and I'll tell you what he's shouting. You should know, most of you would know. Urdhva bahur viromesha nacha kaschit shrunoti maham. But nobody listens to me. This is the frustration of Bhagwan Vyasadeva. What to speak of some ordinary person like me. And then he says, Urdu Bahur Viromesha, Nacha Kaschit Shroti Mam, Dharmartha. No, now I'm just stuck with the Dharmartha Kama Mokshana. Urdu Bahur Viromesha. I may not get it, guys. I'm tired. It's late night here. I won't tell you how late it is. Dharmartha kama moksha. Sorry, Urdo bahur vinomesha. Nacha kashya shronoti mam. Dharmad arthasya kamasya sadharma kim na sevyate. In this dharma, if you take the path of a dharma, there is artha, there is a kama. Why don't you embrace this? Okay, your life will be fulfilled. Anyways, so that frustration he has with writing Mahabharata, I'm saying Mahabharata, Vasudeva has put forward such a evidence. By the way, I assure you guys, I'm showing you such a meticulous, exhaustive evidence. I'm exhausted just talking about it. Sometimes I get earrings, like my eyes and my nose opens up while I'm talking and the ears open up. And still there are people who don't understand it. And then I don't mean just the Mahabharata researchers, the people who are following this, then they will listen to all of this. Instead of doing tapasya, they will come and ask very utterly foolish, irrelevant, digressive question. It's frustrating. Okay. So Purna Chandra, Purna Chandra, Purna Chandra, Purna Chandra, Soma Paripurna, Purna Chandra. Not a surprise, guys. Not a surprise. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Okay, still we are continuing on the 17th day. Now, actually, these may not be duplicates. I don't know that. Let's see, 4338, 43. Yeah, it's not a duplicate. Okay, so these are Purnachandra, Purnachandra. I'm showing you some additional ones. Okay, what do we have here? Additional Purnachandra, but let me quickly read the translation. ऐसा कहकर यह कर्ण पीछे से बाण वर्षा करता हुआ गया है। पार्थ, रणभूमि में श्वेत छत्र से विराजमान कर्ण को देखो, वह चंद्रमा से सुशोभित उदयाचल के समान जान पड़ता है। Okay, again, reference to the moon, very sushobhit, like compared with his umbrella of the on the chariot of Karna, like which is like a circular full moon. But in case you say, well, I'm not so sure. Well, hey, read the damn thing. Next thing, Purna Chandra Nikashena Murdhin Nachatrena Bharata Dhriyamanena Samare blah blah blah. Let me get into translation quickly. Bharat Prajanat Samarangan ke jiske Samarangan mein जिसके मस्तक पर 100 तेजस्वी शलाकाओं से युक्त और पूर्ण चंद्रमा के समान प्रकाशमान श्वेत छत्र तना हुआ है, वही यह कर्ण तुम्हारी ओर कटाक्ष पूर्वक देख रहा है। निश्चय ही यह युद्ध स्थल में उत्तम वेग का आश्रय लेकर तुम्हारे सामने आएगा। द पूर्ण चंद्र इज द इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग। Previous page, Purna Chandra, Purna Chandra, Purna Chandra. Okay, guys, what else you need? If you still don't understand it, hey, tough, too bad. Nothing else will convince you ever. Okay, continues. What do we have here? I pulled his references and oh my God, it's just so many. That was my situation, guys, some 15 years ago when I was doing this. And I was writing my first book, a plastic sales guy writing his first book. What does he know? I still don't know how to write a book. I have written 3. I still don't know. Okay, but I'm so amazed. I won't tell you the number. Like Subbu Publication can tell you the number, how many books are out there and how many people are reading it. It's extremely fulfilling, guys. Extremely fulfilling. Not from a financial perspective. You may know I don't take any royalties from it, but extremely fulfilling that in spite of the fact that I'm not a writer per se, or in spite of the fact that these books, especially the first 2 books, Ramayana and Mahabharata, are like a engineering scientific thesis. It's not like a book. People are reading it, and I mean those people who are giving it their best, I truly appreciate. It's not an easy read. Let me tell you, it's not an easy read, and it's not for everybody. But and again, I will control myself and not tell you the number of people to whom, the number of universities and colleges and intellectuals and politicians and academics where these books have reached, those who have read it, those who send the feedback to me, to Subbu Publications, other places. It's mind-boggling. I mean, before I used to get so excited when somebody sends me an email and this, and now I do get excited. I just do not have a luxury of reading that feedback. Anyways, back to this. So what does it say? Okay. Okay. So now Karna has been killed. Okay. Anjalik से कटा हुआ कर्ण का वह मस्तक पृथ्वी पर गिर पड़ा. So Arjun through the special weapon astra and Karna is been killed. उसके बाद, so we are talking 17th day, उसके बाद उसका शरीर भी धराशायी हो गया, जैसा लाल मंडल वाला सूर्य, रिमेंबर कर्ण इज सूर्य पुत्र, अस्ताचल से नीचे गिरता है, उसी प्रकार उदित सूर्य के समान तेजस्वी तथा शरतकालीन आकाश के, it's a शरद ऋतु. And now you take 95 days of Bhishma and you know where it is. It is the first part of Sharad Ritu. Sharad Ritu has 2 months. It's the first month of Sharad Ritu and it is the month of Margashirsha. If you just connect these 2 points, you go back 8,000 years. It cannot be any time, but you have to go back 8,000 years. Now 8,000 years plus minus 1,000 years. So that's 7,500 years ago. This is how powerful the evidence is, guys. You know, it's a Sharat Kalin. You take Bhishma Nirvan and you go 95 days backwards. Like, you know, what does that mean? At least 95 days you have to come back from the day of winter solstice. So 3 months are just gone, which is what? 2 months of Hemanta and 1 month of the second month of Sharad Rutu. You still have 5 days left, and that was the 10th day of the war because it's a Bhishma. So additional 10, so 15 days into, at least 15 days into the first month of the Sharad Rutu. And that was Margashirsha. You use your astronomy 101, 201, 301, 401, 51. Close your eyes. And if you are good at that, in less than 30 seconds, you say 8,000 years ago. Nothing else comes to mind. Nothing else is possible. 8,000 years ago. Here I did not use Arundhati Vashishta. Just I'm using this reference plus the Bhishmacharya's duration on the bed of arrows, more than 95 days to the day of winter solstice and Sharad Rutu. So Mahabharata war is happening. Okay. It has to be at least the half of the first month of Sharad Rutu when the war began. And it was a Margashirsha month. Combine the numbers. It takes you to 8,000 years. Okay, let's move on. Still 17th day. Okay, there is a one more reference. There is a reference where the description, actually there is going to be one more, I know. Okay, Rahu, that is Rahur Vimuktam Vimalam Samagram Chandra Yatheva Bhyuditam Tatheva. Another beautiful corroboration, Indriya Pramanya empirical testing. What is it saying? When Dharmaraj was saved, you know, like he was having a tough time fighting there, and I forgot, I think Bhima or somebody came and released him. Tathopayatam Yudhidharmarajam Drushtva Muda Sarvabhutanyanandanam. I don't have a quick references here, but somebody freed up Dharmaraj, okay, in his fighting, and he was having tough time. And how that Dharmaraj looked like, again, terrestrial is equal to celestial. The ingenuity of Bhagwan Vyasadeva. He's comparing that with what? What is up there in the sky. Rahor Vimuktam Vimalam Samagram Chandram Yathaiva Bhyuditam Tathaiva. The way moon who has become free from Rahu, free from the eclipse-like situation. That's how Dharmaraj looked. Dharmaraj appeared, who has become free or freed from whoever was attacking Dharmaraj, and Dharmaraj was being tortured. Yudhishthir was being tortured. What do we have in the sky, guys? This is the node, mathematical node. This is actually where the eclipse happened on the 15th day that I showed. And now, 1 or 2 plus days further from that, moon has now come out of the eclipse-like situation from the node, but also the eclipse itself. How beautiful. Very impressive corroboration. 17 days. We are not done. I want to speed up here. 2 hours, 32 minutes, guys. 17th day, Margashirsha Vadya Pratipada, which is 1 day after full moon. Guess what? Full moon, full moon, full moon. We saw tons of it. Something more. Just like we have on the 12th day, full moon near Kritika. Then we had full moon. Because of time, I speeded through that. Full moon, like moon near Vishaka, in the middle of Vishaka. Actually, I didn't give you the explanation that is here. But guys, it's 2 hours, 32 minutes. I'll skip it today. We are going to address each of this in detail. Okay. So day 17, Margashirsha Vadya, 1 day after full moon. Okay, what's happening? It is saying that moon, full moon, just like it was between the Vishakas, keep this in mind. There are enough of references in our Indian astronomy, a full moon between Vishakhas and full moon between Punarvasus. Kalidas uses it, but here Vyasadeva uses it. How is he saying? The Dharmaraj Okay, so let's see. Tatakshurabhya Panchalyo Chakraksho Jaghan Samare Shura Share. Okay, so the two Panchala warriors, I think. Okay, so I don't mean could be Drishtadyumna and somebody else. Okay, I like to think that they were protecting Dharmaraj's chariot. So they are there protecting from both sides. And how did that look? That looked like here, this terrestrial equal to celestial. Tavubho, those two, Dharmarajasya Praviro Pariparshvata, they are on his sort of on the backside protecting him. Okay. Rathabhyashe Chakashete Chandraseva Punarvasu. The Dharmaraj looked like the moon between Punarvasus. Now, people will say, well, hold on, these two Punarvasus are here. How come the moon is between Punarvasus? That person doesn't know poetry, doesn't know how to understand a metaphor. But there is something more. Even somebody saying this, looking at these two stars of Gemini as a Punarvasu, Castor and Pollux, and saying, hey, how come the moon is between? They don't know poetry. They don't understand how to understand metaphor, but they also don't know their basic astronomy. The Punarvasu is described as with a 2 stars, but also 4 stars. Here the Castor and Pollux, and here Procyon and Gomesha. Procyon and Gomesha. Okay, this is the Procyon is that the Canis Minor, the small dog of deep Indian astronomy, and Canis Major is the Sirius. Okay, we'll not go into that. So essentially now the moon is what? Moon is there, Yudhishthir, and imagine this is like a Drishtadyumna and another Panchala warrior. Drishtadyumna himself is a Panchala warrior, right? But Draupadi's brother and another warrior, they are protecting Yudhishthira. Phenomenal corroboration. Indriya Pramanya, objective testing, empirical testing. That's what it is. This is a description, that's a prediction. You go to the 17th day of the war, November 1st. Yeah, that's the moon. And behind him, look at the description. Tavubho Dharmarajasya Praviro Parshvataha Rathabhyashe Chakashete Chandraseva Punarvasu. The moon's direction is going eastward. So that also makes sense. Beautiful. Of course, usually you need a sense of poetry and understanding of metaphor and some things and a knowledge of astronomy. But here, even, this is made so simple, so straightforward by Bhagwan Vyasadeva, at least in this case. Of course, he's putting puzzles. Grantham grati tada chakre munir gudam kutuhalat. But here it's pretty darn simple. And still, Kali Yuga brains are so dull and tamasic, they don't understand this basic stuff. Okay. All right. Let's go something more. Where do we go? Yeah, that also is like a good one, but I will Dipta Sanuga, Dipta Vapushya Chandra Taranganaiva, like a very bright moon, but I'll skip that for now. We had enough. Okay, Shalya Parva. Yeah, now let me make it as short as possible. Okay, so now that 17th day is over, what happens is that, Karna has been killed. Now you would imagine some big warrior has been killed. It's kind of really emotional on both sides. But war sort of continued. In fact, Pandavas just went after Kauravas. And guys, I'll give you a very brief description. Please go and read this. It's so phenomenal. Now, it's like, hey, says Karna is gone, Drona is gone, right? Bhishma is gone. Many of the Kaurava brothers have been killed by Bhim. Dushasan also, at the 17 days, Bhim has already killed Dushasan. He says, let's go for the final one. But Pandavas attack the Kauravas, and you can read this description. They go run away. They are not here. Actually, I made it short. But go and read Shalya Parva and the last chapters of Karna Parva and first few chapters of Shalya Parva. Yeah, so Pandava just went after Kauravas, okay? And the warriors had to try saying, guys, please come back and fight. Duryodhan is, Dronacharya is gone. Duryodhan is trying his best and so on. He says, hey, what is the point of surviving now? Guys, just let's fight, and go to Swarga, fighting, fall on the ground. Don't run away. That's what is going on. Now, 17th night, again, is very close to the full moon day, even more so. When the sun sets, the moon has not risen yet. Remember, this is the second day after Purnima. But in 1 or 2 muhurtas, it's going to rise. Okay, and then it's going to be like a full moon like moon. whole night. That day, these Pandavas went back to their camps. They are victorious. Okay, they know almost they have won it. They still have to fight. We'll see that, and you have to read it, and you know the story. But Kauravas are desperate now, and Duryodhana says, "Guys, stay here." And you know what happens? Actually, they're walking through the night and all that. They can. It's a full moon like night, 2 days after full moon, and actually they stay on the battlefield, just outside battlefield. They stay there. They don't go back to their camps. Okay, let's see if I can find it somewhere. Okay. महान एकत्र हुए हिमालय के ऊपर की चौरस भूमि में. So like, people now suddenly go Himalaya. Well, you have to say Ata Hemavate Praste. You can see the mountains possibly that time. If you have gone to Kurukshetra, I mean, I've been to Kurukshetra, you don't say it, but these are the foothills. You think of the foothills of Himalaya in that sense. Okay. And so somebody takes literally, oh, but where is the Hemavati? You are not asking me, guys. The question you have to ask Vasudev. Why people at Kurukshetra, he is referring to Himalaya. Okay. But many people don't understand. They say, oh, you're talking this reference. No, guys, it is Vasudeva's Mahabharata. Go ask him. Actually, if you go with a Shraddha, he will give you the answers. Okay. So, yeah, all these warriors, the remaining warriors, Shalya, Chitrasen, Maharati, Shakuni, Ashwathama, Krupacharya, Krutavarma, Sushena, Arishtena, Dhrutasena, Jaitsena, these people are the remaining warriors on the Kaurava side. Adi Rajaon ne wahi raat bitai. They are not coming to the camp. There is a moonlight. So they are not fighting this time because Pandavas have gone back to camps. Okay. They have no obligation to fight through the night if they choose to. And so that's what it is. And they just stayed there. Okay. Quickly. So I'll go into the details another time, but quickly. And so, yeah, then they're discussing things. Now Shalya is made the warrior and so on. And then the war begins the next morning. We are on the day 18. What do we see? Again, a reference to the moon, but I have discussed this reference. I won't spend more time. Reference to the moon, but something so beautiful. Okay, the next day, 18th day, when Shalya and Yudhishthira are fighting, terrestrial is equal to celestial. It is compared with what they saw on the 17th night and 18th night. How accurate, how precise, how empirical, how perfectly matching Indriya Pramanya. Rane Chandramaso Bhashe Shanashchara Iva Graha. Okay, the Shalya and Yudhishthira fighting look like a moon and Saturn fighting. Why? I mean, it surprised me when, sorry guys, I'm forgetting the names, but when that beautiful novel writer, okay, forgive me guys, okay, I'm not getting the name right now. She brought this, yes, see, I'm getting old, but the name is also escaping me. She brought this evidence to my attention. Actually, that time I thought, oh, I don't think it matches for 5561 BC. But if you understand truth likeness score, verisimilitude score, you know exactly how to handle it. Put it on the negative side. That is 1 point against you, against your thesis, against your claim, and so on. Lo and behold, when actually I came and simulated this, because my brain was not working, just like it's not working right now. And to my pleasant surprise, guess what? The whole night, from the time the moon rises in the sky, the only two moving bodies, only two graha in the Indian astronomy or even the Western astronomy, they are there in the sky through the whole night until sunrise, are moon and Saturn. Are you surprised? That's how precise, that's how accurate Vasudev is. Okay, all right. Chandramaso with this is the moon here, if you are not seeing, and this is the Saturn. Only two. These are the only two grahas after moon rose in the sky through the whole night, 17th or 18th day, doesn't matter. 18th day, not far from the full moon, just 2 or 3 days after. Look, it's like a full moon. Sampurna Vrutto Nishinishakara. Through the whole night, it's like a full moon. Okay, Shushubhe Raja Madhyasto Nilavasa Sitaprabha, full bright moon, Nakshatra Riva Sampurno Vrutto Nishirishakara. Is that the only one? Look, the description of Rahu is still there. Okay, because this is still the zone, eclipse zone, still the zone of Rahu. Now, Saturn is understandable because Saturn is not going to move a lot. Like it's going to move through 30 degrees in 30 days. Or if you take 18 days, it's going to move through 18 degrees. But moon in 18 degrees is go through a significant portion of the sky. Where do you see the references to the eclipse? It started on the 9th day and it is ending on the 18th day. Let me just quickly share the beauty. Anyways, we have gone to 2 hours 43 minutes. 9th day, there is a mention of a Rahu with context of both sun and moon. 10th day, there is a mention of a Rahu. 11 and 12, it's not there. If somebody has objection, hey, be my guest. You need to understand the scientific acumen, but I will also explain. Okay. Then, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 day, there is a mention. Upaplutam yatha somam, remember, and Rahu. So that 13 day it is there. Okay. So this is 13 day here. Okay. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Are you following me? So here, right in the middle, is exactly the mathematical point of a Rahu. And if you go 4 days before, and if you go 5 days after, so that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 5 days after, so that middle day plus minus 4 or 5 days, you have a eclipse description extravaganza. That eclipse point, truly mathematical point of Rahu, plus minus 4 or plus minus 5. And since I am at that point, let me complete one. And I hope I don't forget, I will tell you the same majesty, same magic, same amazement about the full moon descriptions. But let me complete this. We are on the last day of the war. Sampurna vrutto nishishakara. Rahu Chandra Grasdadityam Aparvani Vishampate. Okay. Again, the Rahu mention is there. Okay. Yeah. I'm mentioning it. Like 5 days away from the actual node of this. That is the beauty of a Vyasadeva. Then go, let's Purna Chandra Samaprabham Parikirno Nishakara. Parikirno is like a fulfilled totally with all brightness, the moon. Purna Chandramiva. It's exhausting, guys. That much evidence Vyasadeva has given in Mahabharata. What's our problem, guys? Okay, so now let's quickly finish the first day and I'll mention about the full moon. The first day after Mahabharata war, this is the day Bhim and Arjun humbled Ashwatthama. That whole discussion of two people, Arjuna and Ashwatthama, releasing Brahmastra against each other. Vyasadeva, Narad Muni asking them to take it back. Arjun can take it back. Ashwatthama cannot take it back. So then finally, the whole story, like it goes towards the Uttara's Garbha, towards Parikshit, and then Krishna saves it. How it saves it? Hey, our modern science and technology is not advanced enough to figure that out. If you figure it out, please go ahead and do it and share your knowledge. I don't know. But that day, and then they all went to the battlefield. The Hastinapur Kuru woman came to the battlefield looking for their brothers and husbands who have been killed in the Yuddha. And there, this description again, you see, Soma Seva Bhi Purnasya Paurnamasya Samudyata. Again, that Purnima is full moon. It's not me, guys, who is saying it like a full moon like moon. It is Vyasadeva who is saying it on the 12th day of the war, on the 10th day of the war, on the 19th day, which is one day after the war is over. Purnamasya Samudyata or Purna Chandra Sudarshanam. Now, let me bring, just like I said, the middle point, the true node point, Rahu. Okay, the moon's node here on the 5th day, meaning 13th day, 4 days on one side, you have a description of Rahu, and other side, 5 days, you have a description of Rahu. Well, which day we have the full moon description, depending on whether you look at the critical edition. Of course, critical edition saves all the references, but whether you look at the critical edition, whether you look at the Gita press edition, it changes a little bit. If you look at only critical edition, the first full moon reference comes on the 12th day. If you look at the Gita press edition, the first full moon reference comes on the 10th day. Okay, so which one we take? Well, let's take the broadest one. So 10th day, fine, great. So 10th day we have a full moon. 11th day I forgot, but we have a full moon like descriptions. 12th day we have a full moon description, Purnima, and also Kritika Nakshatra, near Kritika Nakshatra. This is not a full moon of Kritika. Guys, that has already happened. Alaksha Prabhayayina Purnamasi cha Kartikim. That has happened. This is a full moon like full moon near Nakshatra Kritika, 12th day of the war. This is a month of Margashirsha. Okay, you guys have to learn this and start teaching other Mahabharata researchers some basic astronomy, some basic Vijnana Buddhi, some basic Tarka Shastra, some basic Tantra Yukti. So just like we have this middle point of the true node and plus minus 4 or 5 days, let's look at the moon. So 10th day, full moon, 11th day, not exact description, but there are enough indirect references and it doesn't matter. 12th day, we have a full moon near full moon like moon near Kritika, additional full moon references. 13th, full moon, many, the day Abhimanyu died, many full moon references. 14th, absolutely. That is that 14 day and 14 night, and you know how that Purna Chandra, you know, Navavadhu, Smita Manohara, Purna Samaprabha, you know, Hara Vrusha, like a moon looked like the Nandi of a Shiva, all that. And you know, this beautiful descriptions. So 14 and lots of other descriptions. 15, absolutely. There are not many descriptions of anything on the 15th day as such. We will come to that, possibly why that is so when we analyze this evidence in parts. 16, super rich full moon descriptions. 17, tiring full moon descriptions. 18, many full moon descriptions. You saw that in this one here, full moon descriptions. Okay, we are only focusing on full moon now. And 19, full moon description. So which day do you want to pick up? Let's start with the 10. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Are you following me, guys? I'm not tricking you guys. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Total of the 10 right in the middle. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14, 15. That is your full moon. If you take that 14, 15 as a full moon, and on both sides you have plus minus 4 days. I'm taking 2 days as a full moon day, kind of, you know, transitioning through. There's a reason for it. You can go and actually do the simulations and convince yourself. Look at the illumination. Plus minus 4 days. And look at the illumination for the 10th day of the war and 19th day of the war, above 70%, like a full moon. Now, why like a 70% illumination looks like almost close to 99 or 100% illumination? Astronomy 101, Astronomy 201, Astronomy 301. Get to the learning, guys. Either take it on a Shraddha, understand the Pramanya that I'm showing, use your Viveka Buddhi. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to stop. Okay, and I did want to do this almost 3 hours, 10 minutes short of 3 hours, but I wanted to do this because I am going to take a long break, okay, for different reasons. In the due course of time, you will know exactly why I'm taking the break, but that is something I don't want to discuss that right now. So because I'm taking a long break, I wanted to finish this, okay, therefore I took 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm not going to break this the way I post it, but please watch in pieces. Don't miss it, even if you find this boring. This is how super rich this evidence is. And in order to start understanding this, yes, my book, first book, is not easy to read. Bhishma Nirvana is my easiest book to read. So you can take all my 3 books, start with Bhishma Nirvana, then go backwards. You can skip Ramayana if you're just focusing on Mahabharata, then go to this book. Take Yuganta book of Jivan Rao, very important. Okay, my both books destroy anything after 4508 BC, but Yuganta book does the same thing, but from a totally different set of evidence, again from Mahabharata, but also from Puranas, also from astronomy text. Guys, you'll be impressed. And it's very nicely written, you know, not like me. And it's very easy to read, very systematic. He doesn't digress. I'm a master digresser. Okay, guilty as charged. But then I go back to Joseph Campbell, who says, you know what, the best teachers are master digressors. So, hey, I will take that compliment. Anyways, so please take these books from Subbu Publications, distribute it to others. If you are a parent, get this for children. Don't think they will not understand it. They will surprise you. They will surprise you. I know many children in the sense like a middle school and high school. Yeah, they are understanding it. They are very bright folks, guys. Okay, give them the right thing. This is not again driven by any money making thing. In fact, I tell people in my lectures, there are these sources and they keep on changing because in some sense they are not 100% legal, I suppose. I don't know. But I have seen, and some people bring it to my attention. They're saying, Nilesh, like there is this site where people can download your book and you have to do something. I said, why would I do anything? If there is some free site or something, please buy from Subbu publication and support them. We want a dharmic publication to sustain. It's not easy, guys. If you think people are doing this for money, then you are in a fool's paradise. Okay, absolutely fool's paradise. You have no idea how much effort the uh, person behind the Subbu publication puts it into what he does. He is working 24/7. I mean, I feel like working 24/7. These days, last few days, I'm going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and then getting up at 7 o'clock and starting my work. Okay. So this is not a money-driven adventure. If I wanted it, I have some interesting ideas. I would have gone there, and hired a writer possibly. Why would I bother writing? I cannot hire a writer. Okay, this is a technical stuff, but you will understand it if you do with a Shraddha, Pramana, Viveka. You will understand it. This is not meant to be read one time. This book is to be read, to each of these three books to be read 20 times, 30 times, 50 times, 100 times, and you will think this is exaggeration. It's not exaggeration. I have read my book 100 times, and you laugh at this. Am I a narcissist? Well, maybe so. To understand the book that I have written, I have to read it hundreds of times. There are books like Vinoba's Gita Pravachani, talks on Gita. I have read hundreds of times. To the extent when I talk about it, I don't realize. I mean, people may think like I'm telling my thoughts, but essentially I am repeating Vinoba's wisdom. Same thing. I have read some other books, like I'll not bore you with that, but Goni Dandekar's Mrunmayee or Konayakachi Brahmanagatha. These are books in Marathi. They have been translated in other languages too. I have read them 50 times, 100 times. Now, these are not even technical books, and the beauty doesn't go away. Right here, I have my Prasthanatrayi. Okay. Jnaneshwara's Jnaneshwari, Eknath Maharaja's Bhagavad, and Tukarama's Gatha. Okay, that's my Prasthantraya. You can read this, one lifetime is not enough. So same thing, frankly, this is a Prasthan, this is a Mahabharata Prasthantraya. Okay, embrace those, read them. It's meant to be read, it's meant to be kept, like reading Bhagavad Gita, nothing less, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. All right. With that, just short of 3 hours, Nilesh, you created another record there. Let me stop sharing. And yeah, well, I'm going to take a break, but it may not feel like a break for you because I have created enough videos and spaced them so that you have time, and those new folks who are coming on board, they have time to catch up with the old videos. It's very important that if you start somewhere in the middle, because that's when you become aware of my videos, it's very important you go back and start watching from Shraddha and Pradnya number 1. Otherwise, you will miss a lot. Okay. All right. Namaskar. I'll see you shortly.